Bladerunner Systems. We have Ed and Lawrence. Both of
them. Welcome, guys.
Welcome to the show.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us for episode 33. I thought we were going to start saying the episode numbers.
I've got to say, it's been a long time coming.
It has.
Right? And I feel like everything we do is a long time coming at this point, but...
No, this is literally the longest.
This is literally the longest. You guys were one of the first people to reach out to us when we were actually building the podcast. And we had no idea what we were doing, and we still don't. But we're glad that we came and circled right back to you now that we're starting Season 3. And we're just happy to have you on.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having us.
We like it. I've been listening to it from the get, so it's been fun to see it grow, and now that we're a part of it, it's even more exciting, you know?
So. Yeah. I mean, you guys must have emailed us after, like, episode 2 or something.
2, yeah.
Which is crazy, because our audience was probably about 50 people at that point.
It wasn't really about, like, chasing, you know, some sort of audience or demographic. It was more just like connecting with you guys because we could understand you guys were community members, you know what I mean? And so
it's true.
We always want to kind of like support that, and we're content generators ourselves, you know what I mean? So it's like it was a pretty good matchup, and you know, here we are.
And we were just trying to figure out, like, I think everything worked out really well because it's now coming into, you guys have had plans for a while, and you guys are very deliberate with the way you build your business and the way you connect with your fans. And I think at this is a really cool juncture for you to come on and talk with us as you start, you know, getting into the nitty gritty of the Evolve line and all the new stuff that you've got coming out. And I think you guys bring a little something different to our community. So I think it's a really good time for you to get out there.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I mean, we want to obviously get those projects in front of, you know, people and let them evaluate them and give us feedback. And we have a real, like I said, holistic approach to, you know, issuing product and wanting feedback and really being genuinely interested in it. And it's not like lip service, you know, like I want to know how to build things that you guys want. But I also want to be able to infiltrate that space with our own concepts, ideas, art, you know, whatever, and see, you know, let's see what sticks and see if we can continue to generate excitement around our brand like we've been doing it for a while now.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. It's not like you guys are the new kids on the block either. What is it, like 2008-ish you guys started? What's the deal?
Yeah, the start was pretty small, pretty humble stuff. In fact, I think I remember at one point I was telling Lawrence, I was like, yeah, man, you know, we'll build 10 knives and I'll get one and you'll get one. It will be the coolest. And then we were like, showed it on the Jersey Devil website with Ron, who was like super kind, nice to us, and a good buddy. Ended up being like a really good buddy. And then we were like, well, what do you think, you know, Bali song, you know, folks at large, and do you like this? And then we got about 200 people to line up for one. And then we were like, okay, if we can only just make 200, we'll be straight, dude. Like we can. And then it was like, well, if we can only make 1,000, then we'll be fine. And now here we are today, like trying to still rise to the occasion of the fervor people seem to have for that purpose-driven, you know, Bali song from us. So.
Yeah, it's funny because when you did reach out to us, I think when I got the email, I was like, I'm kind of intimidated because we don't know anything about Bali songs. I don't know if you knew that, but we don't.
Yeah, and I mean, yes and no, right? You know,
I mean, like, we know what it is or what it is, but it's an entire culture almost.
Yeah, for sure.
With, you know what I mean? It's a completely different thing. And the way we see it is the other good reason for you guys to be on the show is to enlighten us a little bit about that and maybe, you know, relate that to how you're getting through with the Evolve line and our knowledge of folding knives, I suppose.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I think you don't necessarily have to. I think as people who originally specialized in Bali songs, we've kind of noticed that. Like, we've always made the inside joke, although it's not really a joke, that Bali song flippers and enthusiasts are kind of like the minority within the minority of people who collect knives, because it's already kind of, if you're into knives, you're already kind of like the black sheep, and then if you're into bali songs, you're like the black sheep. I don't know how that works, but you're like.
It always seemed
even
more mainstream to me, though. It always,
bali songs?
Yeah, it always.
They're a little bit more nowadays.
Maybe now.
Yeah, now.
It's definitely a different audience.
It's because of Angelina Jolie, isn't it?
It's that one clip.
I'd like to think it has something to do with us.
Absolutely. I mean,
There was
no
just
one
a
gave
real lack
a fuck
of
about
options.
it, and we really cared about it from a hobby standpoint and from the actual manipulation standpoint. Of like choosing a piece of equipment that would perform. That's why we.
A lot of our identity and our success actually came from not just making the product, but creating the culture around the product. I don't think that at the time there was really a performance-driven, competition-driven, and motivated design element within the butterfly knife. And that was the whole idea behind the Alpha Beast, because we were openly competing at that point on the internet, and we were really pushing the culture of flipping and tricks and doing all that. And really
I think that's really where I pinpoint the mainstreamedness, because the culture around the tricks and the YouTube videos and the millennials and things like that. But it's so much more than that, and what you guys have built on. So
it's I have told this story before, so Lawrence will probably tune out the redundancy of equating this to the skateboard industry, the early skateboard industry, which is like toy companies made skateboards, and they were like, okay, you like skateboarding? Yeah. Here's a skateboard, and in fact, I think skateboards at one point even had clay wheels, like they were like atrocious to try and ride. Yeah. You die on it. I don't know what you do. You go down 5 feet, hit a rock, and eat shit. But the kids that were really
sounds like my Friday night,
right? Really into skating were like, what if the board was just a little bit longer? What if we had vulcanized rubber wheels? And that's how some of those early skateboard companies got started. They were really true enthusiasts of the hobby, the sport, or whatever of skateboarding. And man, some of those companies are like the biggest companies, period, in skating.
You know what? That's an incredible analogy, or comparison, I should say. And if we think about the knives that we collect, or Brian makes, or you guys produce, and it's like, when do we get to a point where we needed titanium frame locks with ball bearing pivots and space age steel? You can take like the most basic form of a knife and just what's the word I'm looking for? Fancify it into something more than the sum of its parts.
Artifice is the word you're looking for?
Artifice, I like that.
I think, but and I could be wrong. And I'm sure some English language professor's gonna be like, you're an idiot. But
I'm sure Dave will have a word for us. He's pretty good with that.
If you, do you need those things to make a knife? No. Do you need those things to make a purpose-driven product? Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you do. And we did that with bali songs, just like they did with skateboards. I can't perform what I want to perform on a knife that was too short, or didn't have maybe a bushing system in it, or maybe didn't have the right weight distribution or feeling. And Lawrence and I were able to capture those feelings in what we wanted as a product as manipulators. So like when I'm selling you a bali song, you gotta understand, I spilled so much of my own blood, like doing tricks and
probably literally, yeah.
Yeah, literally, like living in that, living in that space that like the product I'm gonna issue might be more genuine than someone's like, oh, well, the kids are spending all the money on the flipping knife, let's make some. You know what I mean? That's a different idea.
A lot of the design elements, like at the time when I was very active in flipping, flipping at that point was not brand new, but the trick development and the competitiveness, that was kind of in its early stages. And a lot of at that time I was actually, and Ed himself was creating, like literally inventing moves. And so I would be doing a move and trying to create something, and I would have the knives that I had. And I was like, okay, I could probably do this if the handles were X amount longer, or if it was this much heavier right here in this exact spot. And I often draw the parallel to, you have the mechanical crew, the engineering crew, and then you have the race
field
car
tester,
driver.
the race car. I was gonna say you're like the Art
So,
Senna of
the engineer,
That's an unfortunate
you
metaphor.
Need both. Exactly. Like you can't, like the race car driver can't build a car, but he can sure drive one. And the engineering crew can't just make the perfect car without someone out there who has the skills to push the car to that limit and give the feedback. So they go hand in hand. And at that point, we were competitively flipping. And it wasn't just our feedback, but the feedback of the community saying, this is a little too light, this is a little too blade heavy, the balance is not quite there. So we took all of that feedback plus our own input and put that in the Alpha Beast, and that was kind of like the archetype for all the models that went down the line.
And so, how did that model start out? Like, I don't know. I know a little bit about the Alpha Beast. I know you still produce it, and it's still like your main Balisong. Is that what it is?
It's a legacy SKU for sure. I mean, we got Replicant, Alpha Beast, and
the Replicant,
and Bare Bones, which is like kind of the trifecta, or what some people call the Triforce of Balisongs. So.
And one started like with integral handles and things like that, or how did you guys? How did that design evolve over the past couple of years?
This is kind of a wild story. I have a really cool superpower of being able to like call someplace and get on the phone with people that have no business talking to me, that probably shouldn't take my phone call whatsoever.
I have that same superpower.
It's awesome, right? And I ended up talking with Thomas Welk at Kershaw.
Oh, there you go.
And I was like, look, man, we want to do this, make this butterfly knife. Would Zero Tolerance be interested in making a Balisong? And they were like, well, maybe, and so we took our concept to them first, and then invariably after about a calendar year, or about a rolling calendar year from the time we talked to them to the time that they dismissed the project, we worked with them on trying to consider bringing it to market through Kershaw Zero Tolerance. And so I think they even went so far as to mold up some handles and stuff.
So you guys were almost a subsidiary of Kai, is basically what was it?
I'm
or
not
was
sure.
it going to be?
Yeah. It was tough to say because we didn't really know as what we know now about those types of relationships, and they really didn't have a full commitment to it as a project. So what I got out of it at the end was like this excellent relationship with the folks at Kershaw, who like knew my name and
that's amazing.
Were interested in things that I had to say, and I was.
They're notoriously aloof. I've never spoken to anyone at Kershaw, for sure.
Yeah, well, you got to do that. It's like, hey, put Thomas Welk on the phone. Who's this? I said, tell him it's Ed Antonis. He's like, what?
Thomas is also notoriously abrasive.
Yeah.
He is a good guy and has been a very good guy to me. And not for nothing, if I ever were to be called out and say, hey, who's the short list of people you want to thank? I'd be like, my dad and Lawrence and Tom Welk. So,
that's awesome. That's awesome to hear.
Also,
and
Ron from Jersey Devil, and Matt Cook, who was one of the first people who helped us turn those products into physical, products.
Yeah.
So.
That's awesome. So you guys started. When you guys had the prototype, did you have like a handmade prototype, or did you move it through it?
Yeah, the first prototype we did, we went through a small machine shop that was facilitated by a custom maker that had signed on. That was also a Jersey Devil, Balisong forum member. And he was like, "Hey, I think I can help you make some of these, and we'll see where it goes from there." And he helped us turn out the first 12. Those were called the Dirty Dozen. They've kind of now are trading on the secondary market for quite a bit of cake.
That's gotta feel good, right?
It's fun. It's cool. Like I said, a lot of this work is archival for Lawrence and I. Like I said, I can tell you, like when I see a particular run of knives, like or box art or a piece of or a T-shirt design that Lawrence and I came up with or whatever. Something brand associative, like I can even tell you like how old my kids were, what house I was living in at the time. So
it's these landmark moments.
It's just a deep experience. You can like go and buy one of our knives and just buy one, or you can take this like crazy deep dive with us if you want.
And we talked about that a little bit. That you guys are a brand that is so immersed in the culture that you've cultivated,
Mm-hmm.
and your fan base, and I'm so excited to see you guys bring that stuff into, the Bali. When I mentioned this before, the Bali community is very, they're, I wouldn't say they're closed off, but they're tightly knit. And it doesn't really bleed over into the collector market of flippers and God knows what else.
Well, we
just
don't. Yeah, I don't want to ignore any aspects of the knife community at large. Even with our Bally songs, we have made some chase product in there, where I think it does appeal to the collectors. We would
Sure.
take production units and get in touch with knife customizers or knife pimpers or et al.
and
we
make
would
like
say,
limited runs.
yeah,
and stuff
like let's do
I-
a small batch, or let's do, and those became collectible pieces of
Oh
of,
yeah.
of,
I
of
maybe
product.
I didn't ask my question. I think it's more like there's a line in the sand between people who collect, like, let's say, zero tolerance, and people that may collect BRS knives. Does that make sense?
People that sit in their basement and potentially slice their fingers off are two different
On
people.
both sides.
Yeah,
On both
for sure.
sides. On
Yeah,
both
for sure.
sides.
But I really would rather think of the entire ecology of the
I
knife
agree.
market.
Yeah.
And I think that's better for our brand. And I will never not make Bally songs. That is a core.
It's your core.
You know what I'm saying? But
Yeah, absolutely.
our aspiration to take these types of ideas and put them into the cutlery market at large has always been present. Like if you look back throughout us experimenting with our first friction
You guys done.
folders, and
I know you've done fixed blades and friction
yeah,
folders, stuff
correct.
like that.
Yeah. So
I-
it's always been something we wanted to do.
Totally. And I think it's funny because it seems like the worlds are colliding and becoming, the line is blurring a little more. Maybe it's just because we're more receptive to it as a podcast, as collectors. I know Dave and Jake and I have talked about it. Even Brian. Brian, you thought about designing a ballast song several times, right?
I have a couple that look pretty good, but like I've said before, I don't know where the center of gravity should be, length, bearings over bushings.
There's
and
a lot of feel. There's a lot of feel going on with something like that. But the market, even now, like just custom makers, a lot of people are gravitating towards creating a ballast song, and I think you're on point by trying to get a piece of the action that they're doing. With frame lock flippers, all the stuff that you have coming through the Evolve line has had a lot of, a lot of the essence of what BRS is, and they certainly stand out. So I'd like to talk a little bit about where you guys are going with that, with the products that you have in there, and what the mindset was.
I think the approach to the Evolve lineup and knives that are other than Bali songs is not very different from our origins and our roots. We're always trying to make something that is different, that is very true to our nature. And as you have discussed with us before and seen what's upcoming, it's not just our design, but we're also paying attention to the community, and we also want to include and collude and work with people that we also respect within the community. That's why we have so many collaborations going on. So it's not just about us and our vision, but also those makers and artists that align with our vision. We love working with the community and kind of
it shows a lot of respect for everything else that's out there.
Yeah.
If we were talking about Apple earlier, it's not like Apple doesn't come. They're not first with a piece of technology. They bring something out when the time is right. And I think that's a big part of understanding and having a pulse on your clientele.
Yeah.
I think we always wanted to make folders, and we always wanted to make fixed blades, and we always wanted to make EDC gear, and we always wanted to, continue to make and innovate in the Bally Song thing. And all that stuff is very unilateral to me. Like it's really the same project. And again, that deep dive is present with the Evolve products. A really great example of that is like if you take the You know, we did a collab with Steve at Nova Blades.
Mm-hmm.
Do you guys know Steve?
Yep.
Yeah, he's like a really good dude, and he's used to live really super close to Lawrence. But when you take the knife that we did with him, the Nomad, and if you hold it by the back of the knife and turn it, inside the slab is milled like a chevron, so that when you twist the knife from the back end, it creates sets of chevrons inside it, which is our brand identity, the chevron. You know what I mean? So it's like it's like an Easter egg, like
yeah, just little
right
touches.
on the knife.
And that's what I've noticed
Yeah.
about a lot. And I've had the opportunity to handle and really carry and get to know a lot of the models in your lineup. Some upcoming, some current, and they all have a little details that you start to notice as you start playing with the knife. Like that fragment design is could be so polarizing to someone shopping for it on the internet, but when you get it in hand and you realize, oh, look at all these little things, it's a really interesting product. You know, it's a cool little utility blade. Jake, I know you.
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I was just going to say Jake was as another person who was actually using that knife a lot, and it was we both were surprised how much we liked it.
It's fun.
It kind of speaks also to our design philosophy. When we did the Bali songs, when we started out, and not just the knives, but our marketing direction, the way we interact with our community, we don't want to look like everyone else. I know when I start to design a knife from the ground up, and say it's a certain style of knife, whether it's a Bowie or whatever the case is, I will Google search Bowie, right? And I'll look at like the first few pages, and I will be like, okay, that's what I'm not doing. Right? I'm not going to do like the first 3 pages. It has to be different from the common, whatever, insert anything, you know, it doesn't have to be a Bowie, but whatever knife it is, you know, we want to be different. And we don't really always want the reaction of, I don't want to say, you know, we want to be, you know, divisive and completely polarizing, but a little bit of people saying,
sure.
oh, that's, yeah, like a little bit like, wow, what is that? It's a little bit different. Yeah.
It doesn't move the needle otherwise.
You can't design a knife for everyone. It's just not a thing, you know? Although I feel like maybe in the balisong world you may have. You know, well, I think it's that ubiquitous.
It's like, well, we want, that's why we have so many Evolve products coming out, because you're right, you can't create one knife for every single person, but you can create a bunch of knives that may fit someone eventually, right? So that's why we have 3 different butterfly knives. That's why we didn't just start off just with one Evolve design. We had several collabs too, because everyone kind of fits a different mold. But at the same time, in each of those designs is a little bit of us and being a little bit different and trying to stand out a little bit.
It's like assembling a special forces team, you know. And if you look across the,
I thought we weren't going to get tactical with this.
Well, I'm not a tactical dude, and you know, I've not served, and I've had good friends that have, and I don't pretend. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm. Like
but
a lot
in
of
my
people do, you know.
Yeah, it's a shame, but in my estimation, like, you know, or you could even say something maybe that might be a little, you know, like dear to my heart, like a superhero team. You know, you've got a utility kind of like smaller footprint, interesting opening, fidget factor thing in Fragment. You've got a more full-size, you know, verbose knife in our Gavco collab, because we did
This sounds so Jim Lee era X-Men, it's not even funny.
I really am a huge Jim Lee fan, too.
Me too. That's like, you can't get any better than that.
Awesome.
It's like that, and this is why that's relevant, and everyone else on this podcast is going to roll their eyes. It's like every superhero team prior to that had like a look. You know, even the X-Men when they started, they all had uniforms that looked the same. Right. And then Jim Lee was able to draw each one with a personality and a backstory, but they still all looked like a cohesive unit.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think that's a cool analogy too. I just got to nerd out about X-Men on this podcast.
Definitely kind of a brand-specific approach to, you know, what would I do for a full-size folder? What would I do for a gentleman's folder? Like we have the Vault Runner that we collabed with with less Voorhees on.
Yeah, you showed me the drawing for that one.
Yeah, that knife is
It's
just
gonna be
like
good.
all sorts of awesome. But the idea is like, what's our take on a gentleman's folder? What's our take on a, what if we were to do a slip joint? What would a BRS slip joint look like? You know what I mean? And how do we stay honest to like what we want to do, but also give a nod to the goddamn culture and give people what they want, what they're saying. I want this. And if someone's saying they want that, what they're doing is they're drawing a roadmap to their purchase. And like,
And in some cases, even they didn't know they want it.
Right.
Like,
yeah,
like
correct.
I
I mean,
found
but you
with
have
the
to
fragment.
That's the hardest
What
part.
does this serve? And then you get it in your hand, and you're like, oh, now I know what I can do
Right.
with this. It's
And
awesome.
but
and I carried
I
that Apache like for days and days and days.
Yeah,
couldn't get it out
I
of my
wanted it
pocket.
back.
Yeah,
I wanted
it's
to
tight.
use that knife for a giveaway, but I don't think I'm going to because I like it so much.
Don't worry about it. We'll if you guys want to foster a giveaway, we'll help you out with that, so you can keep the one that you're enjoying. You know what I mean? I don't want to, I'm not trying to rip it out of your hands.
I think maybe we should actually do a giveaway. Maybe by the end of this one, we'll see how you guys are doing, and we'll do an unknown giveaway. We don't know what it'll be, but maybe we'll do that on this episode.
Yeah, we'll play ball.
I think that'll be fun.
I think it's fun.
Sure.
But going back to the drawing a design for a knife, I know Brian, you've been struggling with that. That's like your bane of your existence is trying to figure out what's next and how do I apply my style to something that that is tale as old as time. You can't. How many times can you redraw a Bowie, right?
Exactly, and it's
As long as it's wrong.
So, I was just going to say that.
you always try to outdo yourself. At the same time, you don't want to lose your identity and come up with something totally different. I do and I don't. I'm scared to do that because the one time I did try to do something a little different, it wasn't received well. So now it's like
If you're talking about the Cyclone, now everybody wants a freaking Cyclone.
well,
I
Yeah,
mean,
I
that's
think it's
what you're
aged
saying.
well.
You can't step on your own dick, but you do got to be brave, dude. Like if you believe in something you're about to put out, your confidence behind that project and the way that you elect to market it might be the difference between its success and its demise. So I would
also-
yes and
considering
no,
your
but-
skill set, dude. I mean, you don't have too much to fear. Not for nothing.
I know what you mean, but it's unfortunately for me, I'm not getting rich doing this. It's always about, can I sell them?
No, of course.
And it unfortunately I can't do. It's just this is my artistic end. I try to put that in there, but it's always I have to sell them.
It's a tough balance. Like, I draw tons of knives, and you have to be brave and be true to form, like what Ed said. But you also have to be prepared to eat shit too. So, I've spent literally all-nighters, like multiple all-nighters, because when I design, I don't just draw it. I make it actually function, mechanically, which is a lot of time, right? Especially when you're trying to push the boundaries of your design philosophy. So I'll spend countless hours and I'll show it to Ed and he'll just be like, no, dude, and you gotta be ready for that. And you have to trust the people who are
Around
close to you, who are going to give you honest feedback, and you have to be prepared for constructive criticism. But I don't think it's a waste of energy or time to try to push those limits, because even if it doesn't work out, I think you still gain a lot in trying to push your borders a little bit further.
You may overcome an operational boulder just by trying a design and showing it to your core audience and saying, "Do you care for this?"
You want to know a good example of that is the imp that we did with Tough Knives. That actually came because I drew something that was pretty heinous. I actually went back and looked at that recently. I'm like, I don't know what I was thinking. That thing's garbage. It's really bad.
He talked about that very briefly on our show. I'm curious to hear your side of it.
Yeah, well, so I didn't speak to him directly about. Ed did. Ed took that design that I drew and showed it to Tough Knives, and he was like, "This is terrible," but he's like, "But I see what you're trying to do."
That
Yeah.
sounds
He's
like Jeff. That's definitely Jeff.
Yeah. So he was like, he's like, this kind of reminds me of did he call it the imp? I think he called it the imp back then, but it's like, this reminds me of this knife that I'm doing, and I'm not doing it anymore. So if you're trying to do a small fixed blade, why don't you run this? So the effort wasn't wasted in the sense that it's like, okay, I see the angle you're coming at, and here's just something that's better. So, okay, I'll take that.
You had your
That's
why,
fine.
just not your what.
Yeah.
It did
And
take
there's-
us all this time to get to this point where we can run his actual product too, and not for nothing that guy hung in there and he never said shit. He was just cool about it, and he was like, understands that we had such a bloom in the Bali song, area that we had to get through a lot of that workflow just to get to the point where we could get to doing something like we're doing now with Evolve. I would have loved to have started Evolve 6 years ago, 5 years ago, but we had a lot of workflow to get through to try and meet the curve of people that wanted the Bali Song product. And then of course that bell curve got even bigger. So even now we're still trying. I mean, if I drop products out right now, they still do evaporate from the market pretty quick. So we're making more and more and more and more Bali songs than we ever have. And so to separate those two ecospheres, you know what I mean? We literally treat the Evolve stuff as its own type of business. It doesn't even have anything to do with the Bali song runway. It doesn't have anything to do with the production.
Two different product lines
It's
completely.
two different product lines.
And we were talking about that,
places.
and as you were telling me this while we were on the phone earlier, like I had to conceptualize like how it's like literally running two different companies.
Yeah, it is, for sure. And there's a lot of really compelling reasons to treat those programs in that way. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Because no one should ever be concerned that what we're doing is taking away from our ability to generate the products that they're currently asking for. I have a responsibility to the customer base for them to understand that. I think we explain that stuff very well. We do a lot of go lives. We're not, I'm not object to talking about our projects or how they're formulated or what we're doing. And that also allows me to engage my audience and get feedback from them. But what's important for people to understand is that we understood that might come off like, oh yeah, now they're crossing over, they're making folders. And what we really were doing were saying is like, we've always wanted to make these projects, so how can we kind of create something under the BRS umbrella so that there's brand recognition there, but really get out there and do some of the projects we've always wanted to do and collaborate with some of the people that we've been really excited to collaborate with, because they are people that we respect, whose artistry we respect and have wanted to work with since they started talking to us, at Nick's or other places when we were kind of more in our infancy. So this really is kind of a full circle thing.
Totally. And I'm curious to hear the story of like, you're going from, manufacturing a whole bunch of ballad songs in the United States, and then all of a sudden you're like, you know what, we gotta, the foreign production is gotten so great, we need to embrace this and really use it. Like how did that come about? Like what did that
we understood it was a world market. I mean, the first things first, we understood it was a world market.
Yep.
And like, while we are a domestic company and we have domestic operations here, if the world stage is that you can manufacture here, there, and everywhere to compete, then we wanted to obviously see what would those projects look like? What would they feel like if we made OEM relationships overseas? Excuse me. And so we went out and sought those relationships out. And even now we onboard OEMs and we're looking and evaluating working with Riot and other OEMs overseas to try and gain traction with them based on their particular track record for high-end manufacturing, so that we can make sure that our visions continue to be executed over there with impunity. I want the stuff to come back and solicit the responses like I'm hearing from you, which I think are very genuine ones, where you're just like,
I wouldn't blow smoke up your ass, Ed.
Right.
You know that already.
Yeah, but I handled this thing and I played with it, and you know what? I enjoy it. It's got to be. I want people to have fun with those products and enjoy them too.
I think that's the hardest part, is that so much of the collector market and so much of the knife enthusiast market is just looking at pictures online, that nothing is going to compare to when you get one of these like in hand and use it. You know what I
Our
mean?
products are so actionable that I insisted from a marketing standpoint when we worked with retailers and stuff that they show video. The Bally songs, particularly as the cornerstone of that idea, which is like, look, this mental ownership begins at the actionability of this product, and please don't hide that. I will give you videos to embed on your site. Just integrate them. Can we please get this, type of listing? Will you please do reviews? Will you please include showing flipping, showing this stuff in motion? Because that's where people are like, whoa, I want to do that. And I think that can be that way with knives as well. When you look at something like the Fragment and all those different opening, ways you can open it, and how handy that blade profile is in if you're at work or just using it around the house, like it's an actionable thing. And we build shit to be used. I mean, I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. I've always wondered how long it would take for me to sever all of my fingers with a balisong.
It can be quick.
I'm sure. I mean, Jake, what do you think? 20 minutes tops before I have no fingers.
Are we taking bets?
We could be taking bets.
Get some Vegas odds on that shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's just something that has always been sort of in the realm of I want that, but will I hurt myself?
I have regrettably owned a few and not wildly injured myself, so I have confidence you wouldn't die immediately.
Yes. I also find the BRS stuff rather attractive, which is, I mean, you think that it's got to be difficult. You have two, spindly pieces and a blade, right? So you got to, and making that all work aesthetically is probably harder than it seems to be.
Everything about building balisongs is harder than it seems to be. I cannot tell you how many people are like, I'm going to build a balisong. I'm like, good fucking luck, bro. You're not. Good luck.
Yeah, I had a Marfione custom Tachyon 3, and even that had like some play in the handles. And you would think with all of Microtech's resources that wouldn't have happened. But I don't know. It also held its value for shit, so that was basically the worst purchase I ever made, knife-wise. So
I think that's an attractive balisong.
It's a really cool balisong. It just, I don't know. It was not worth the money I paid for it, and I got like nothing back when I sold it, so... Wow. It's pretty cool that the BRS stuff, you can at least, take a chance on it and get, 2/3 of your original investment back.
Oh, so there's a secondary market around our product depending on how much of a current drought there is while we're working to manufacture product.
Them. Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, where you're not going to come in at 2/3, but you may come in over what you spent on the product.
Yeah, that's a huge help because that did not help with the Tachyon. And Microtech seems to not really be interested in making those anymore, the production versions, so... Speaking of that drought, I don't think people who haven't been around for a while realize what this like black hole of good balisong good flippers were after the 42 got discontinued. There was essentially nothing until you guys came around because the 51 was bad. I don't know about the Spyderco, the SzaboFly.
That had its own problems.
Mostly that they were all taken by customs.
Yes.
And then the small fly was terrible.
Significant problem.
Yes.
Yeah. So you guys there was like a horrible gap in the market where there was nothing good out there. There just genuinely were no options.
I flipped all those. I flipped everything.
You and me both.
Before BRS started, I was heavy on YouTube reviewing every single one of those. The SzaboFly, the Spyderfly, the 51, the 42, all of
even
those
customs and shit.
Customs. I mean, I flipped damn near everything. And nothing could really meet the ideal performance, that I wanted, and that what I heard the community echo. So all of those, man. I remember slicing myself really bad on all those.
You're serious when you're like, I'm just gonna fucking build it myself.
Yeah, exactly.
Do you know what I mean?
That's great. Yeah,
or
you're onto something.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think had to do it.
A lot of people wanted to, but the complication of it all having to be done in the USA adds some problems to it. If the bigger manufacturers not interested.
BRS had the perfect storm. Like they had the right people in the right place.
Yeah,
I think
great timing.
And the right design. Yeah, I mean, it's a lightning strike situation and a lot of determination.
I'm happy to be a right time, right place player. That's totally acceptable. I think that's a normal part of business. It's very
I'm not taking anything away from.
No,
it.
no, no.
yeah.
I
You know
agree
what
with
I
you.
mean.
Smart-
It's
smart
really
business.
applicable. Like if you look throughout history, the people that were in the right place at the right time
Yeah.
with the right ideas can certainly get a lot of traction. The one thing that happens after that that's really important is fucking sustainability.
Yeah, just actually getting it done.
Yeah, correct. And,
It's the
and
truth.
that is where people start taking left turns like I don't even know.
Yeah, I mean, we see it all the time. Look at how many people, how many companies we've seen just in our tenure as a podcast, and just take nosedives.
Yeah.
Just unfulfilled Kickstarters alone is enough.
Exactly.
That Daryl Ralph,
That's the weirdest thing. You guys listen to the show, so you know what we're talking about.
Yeah, definitely.
that Daryl, in the ballad song world, the Daryl Ralph ballad song that like was delayed for a million years. I don't even know if it ever materialized. That thing was,
So, yeah.
I don't want to say it was allegedly a
Here we go.
scam.
That's a throwback.
Allegedly.
Yeah, I mean, like,
There's a lot of money to be made off of non-existent ballad songs
Well,
because there's just so much demand
One
and so
thing
few products.
I think one reason why we were able to stay the course is when Ed and I began, before we were incorporated, before we were even dealing in the volumes that we deal with now, we said from the get, look, if we're going to do this, we might be a small company, we might not even be a company, but we're going to act like a big company. We're going to do everything by the book. We're going to get an accountant. We're going to do proper accounting. We're going to get incorporated, do all the legal stuff. We're not going to break any rules. We're going to set up everything like a professional business, and we're going to act like professionals in our
Grow
approach.
into
And I
it.
think,
yeah, for
yeah,
sure.
and I think that's a big part of our sustainability is that we treated it as a big company from the very beginning. So once it did scale up to the point it is now, it's not a shock. Like we've always been doing it the right way. So now we just keep on doing what we've always been doing.
The testament is that the desire for the product has continued to scale as we've scaled the company. So every time I'm like, we've done it. We've built this year's projection and we hit it, and then I'm like, and I'm 2,000 units short. You know what I mean? Like it's growing.
I don't think
and
you're not even there's no peak yet because
No.
And as I was talking about earlier, the amount of interest in ballad songs from custom makers and production companies has become, it's part of the gig. Like, did you look at any catalog this year that didn't have a ballad song in it? Probably Kershaw's the only one I think that didn't.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be a bit surprised if they have aspirations to do it, and that's fine. To me, I don't really get too tight about that type of shit because,
No,
like,
why would you?
I don't know, dude. I'm on mission. You know what I'm saying?
Well, and we talked about this before. It's not like someone has to fail in order for you to succeed.
No, of course not.
There's a lot of, I mean, you guys make a product and it speaks for itself. Like, it should not affect anyone else's.
No,
I mean, people like to think it does, and those are
if
the
you
people
if you want to come correct, and you're not like Dave was saying, if you're not just making ghost fucking things to try and collect Kickstarter funds or I don't know whatever that nonsense is, then you'll have my respect because this is fucking hard. You know what I mean? Like this is hard. This is not an easy job. This is not you just flip a switch and go to sleep. This is not I'm gonna make 5,000 knives and then retire. It's fucking not like that. It's way hard.
It's constant.
It's constant. It takes, I had hair when I started doing this shit.
No way.
Fucking shit all fell out. There's a lot of blood, sweat, and tears in manufacturing and in creating relationships and in building product at scale. I mean, anybody can, right now, I'm sure there's somebody who can make 10 killer ballad songs. But can you make 10,000?
200 of them. Yeah, 300
Yeah,
of them. Yeah, even getting into smaller numbers.
Let's do it at scale because they're expensive to build. I'm not going to fib to you. I mean, you put it on Front Street, even as just from project orientation. It's really spendy. So you really have to play your cards right. You have to certainly be able to move product and keep your culture and your product a living, breathing SKU. An ever evolving, kind of
brand.
Brand.
And
if
we
you can't,
talk
can't do
sure,
that,
yeah.
then just go sit down.
Absolutely, a lifestyle brand.
It is a lifestyle brand, yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. You know what I'm looking at now? I'm daydreaming. I'm looking at the bare bones trainer. I'm like, maybe that's what I need to do is get something that I won't sever any arteries with.
Yeah, I'm the guy that was like, I don't trainers like whatever. Put a
Yeah,
piece
I
of
know.
tape
I don't know.
over
Should
it.
I be
You
like,
know what
nah,
I mean? Like,
I feel like a douchebag, but I'm like, I just give me the one that's sharpened on both
you
sides.
shouldn't. I'll tell you why. Actually, Lawrence made a really compelling video not long ago about like 10 reasons why maybe you should have a trainer. You know what I mean? And like I really wasn't thinking that way. And honestly, like I didn't realize it, but I was making a decision for customers. You know what I mean? Being like, nah, we don't offer that. We don't play that trainer shit.
That's a really
You know
that's
what
a
I'm
very
saying?
high level way of thinking about it.
Yeah, and it wasn't really the most wise thing, and it came from a little bit of naivety on my part. I was just thinking like, well, just fucking put a piece of tape over the blade, and you won't cut yourself up that bad, you know?
Yeah, but then it wouldn't have holes in it.
Right. But
Yeah.
I'm just like an old school hardcore flipper, you know, and I've got like gnarly scars to prove it. And like, I just was flipping and I had no sense of self regard or self preservation. Like, I was throwing it at my face and I had nothing. I just didn't give a fuck. But there are people who have to give a shit. They can't just slice themselves up and be like, oh, well, you know, like they have to go to work and like.
Yeah, I noticed a trend because we would get emails, and some of the arguments for it were very compelling. Some guy I remember was like, "I'm a surgeon," you know, and I was like, "Okay, that's a good argument," you know.
Yeah.
Another guy is like
Musicians,
had, like,
other-
super, musician.
For people who
He
use
played
their
guitar.
hands, I would imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And so it wasn't just about in the hardcore flipping community. They're going to say, "Oh, just get a cut. You're going to learn better." But you do have to understand that not everyone is in a position where they can just afford
Right.
to not use their fingers for.
When I was
2
saying
weeks,
no
you
to
know?
them, you got to keep in mind you're talking to the guy who invented such moves as the guillotine and the meat grinder and the I was naming stuff that was like, I don't know, just go out and destroy yourself. I don't give a fuck.
I
And
thought that's when you were a porn star. I thought
no,
that's
just, no. My porn name obviously is Dixon Too Far. I don't know
when
if
you...
you've got
mine's
one
Sexton Hardcastle.
Oh God, that's good. God, that's
That
not
is
bad
good.
at all. Damn.
Did you see how it was right there? I didn't even have to
Yeah,
think about it.
it's true.
Yeah.
We are
He's thought about it before.
That's true.
Absolutely.
You got your banter worked out.
Yeah.
Right.
That's great. It's you're right. I think you have to think outside the box and really look at who your market is and how you can grow it. You know, you can't just make stuff for yourself and say, "Look, this is what it is. Deal with it."
Yeah, yeah.
I
got
made it
kids
for-
and shit now too. You know, I want something for these boys to latch
Nothing-
on to when they grow up. You know.
Yeah, it's the only thing I put ahead of my knife designs is Jesus.
Yeah, we don't do any of that stuff. Like, I'm not political. We're not.
Right.
I'm not religious. I'm not. I just want to make knives and
hail Satan.
connect. Well, yeah, and that, and connect with our customers, and connect with the knife culture at large. And really, like you're saying, like, do we have something to offer people who are into
Sure.
folding knives and stuff? Like, yeah, for legit. Like, come find out. You know what I mean?
And I think what we'll do next, unless Dave, is there anything you want to bring up news-wise? Is there any specific stuff that you wanted to talk about? We had the whole. I'm not even going to get into the whole Benchmade fiasco that happened.
Nope. I have no interest in talking about
I don't
that
think I
either.
even want to talk about it. I think it was just the silliest thing I've ever seen in my life. But it's a good example of how fickle and strange our
yeah.
business is. You know.
And sad to see people that I thought were industry peers like immediately.
Oh,
fucking,
that was the worst part for me.
That was ugly, man.
Yeah, that shit got
Ugly.
real ugly real
Not
fast.
a good look, dude.
Everybody threw them under the bus the second they could.
The memes were
have
good though.
Oh yeah, it was funny. It was just like you're going to see these people at trade shows. You're going to be like, I don't know, the
That's
Kershaw
true.
booth's going to be across from the Benchmade booth. It's not going to be
I
awkward.
stay so far away from that stuff that Ed is literally my source for all of it, right? Like, I don't pay attention to,
I was like,
I
read
don't
this,
pay
dude.
attention. Yeah, I don't pay attention when I'm driving. Like, I just don't pay attention, right? So I just ignore all of it, and then he'll send me like an article. He'll be like, "Did you hear about this? Did you hear about that? Did you know your house burned down?" I'm like, "It did." I'm like, completely oblivious to it because I try my best to stay away. But even then, you can still kind of get sucked into the vortex,
It
That's
helps.
Brian's life right now.
Yeah. It helps to have someone filter it to you.
I
Yeah.
think so.
Yeah, I'm like hand picking, what's worth reading out of that quagmire. There was some interesting stuff in there. Obviously, when something like that happens, it's very significant to the industry to see, someone who's
The
kind of in
reactions,
this,
yeah.
just the way people are going to behave and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But like in the antithesis of that, whereas we don't participate in that type of stuff, and like I like to shoot guns, like I don't,
Yeah.
but that's like about as deep as I'm going to get with it. You know what
Right.
I'm saying? As far as like my personal feelings about this stuff, but like I said, in the antithesis of this, I'm just over here trying to make Dynastic brand moves, dude. Like I want to
Yeah.
be a bigger part of the cutlery industry, and not isolate myself with my politics or my other stuff.
Exactly. I don't.
Like it just seems foolish to me, kind of foolhardy.
The last thing to me is the only thing. This is the last thing we're going to say about it is that I just don't understand why was publicized to begin with. That's my only. That's the only thing I can say. It's just, why did it have to be a thing? Because, again, it just alienates a part of your business. No matter how you slice it, no matter how innocent, you're just alienating part of.
I'm sure we alienated people by not even talking about this, but
I
that's
don't
the
think
thing.
so. I think
Hopefully
I don't insult the intelligence of the people that listen to our stupid podcast.
In the social media atmosphere, I feel like a lot of people are there to make a statement or make a point or be heard, and I think that's fine. It is a platform for that. But my whole thing is like, okay, if you're gonna take the time to post something, right? You're spending the time anyway. You could choose to engage your audience or engage your community, engage the people you're close to in a positive light. Like you could post something and just tag someone and say something positive about them or positive about a community or a group or anything. Like you could just be positive and that's going to go a long way. Like if you're going to spend the time to do all that, go on social media, pick out a picture, write this whole thing, like why not just make it something that's good for everyone? Why,
Lawrence, I
spend
gotta tell
time
you,
to-
you sound so like such a good person that I can
Dude.
definitely tell you don't spend any time on social media.
Yes,
He
I was
is a
gonna
good
say.
person.
Yeah.
I do spend a lot of time on social media, but like I try to spend it in a way
Engaging,
where I'm like,
the
yeah,
audience.
like I'll just think of ideas to
Content provider.
Yeah, and it's just like, and it really does come from a place of like I'm
It's
just
genuine. I can
genuinely,
tell. Like what
well,
you're saying
curious.
is
Yeah, like I
yeah.
really want to embrace my community. I mean, I've said often we've only done one Blade show. Like I've been to it 3 times or 4 times, but last year was the first time exhibiting, and that was my Super Bowl. Like engaging with people face to face was probably the most rewarding and phenomenal experience I've had as since we started this company. At least it's definitely top 3, right? It's up there. And so when I came back from that, and I felt this way even before that, but when I came back from that, I'm like, man, these people they care. They're rooting for us. They believe in us. So if I'm going to spend any time posting something, because this stuff takes time. Like I'm going to spread something positive. There's way too much negativity and drama and all that back and forth. You could do quite the opposite. You could be positive and spread positivity. It takes the same amount of effort, but it's going to inspire people. It's going to make that community stronger, better, closer. Why would you want to go and divide people? And why would you want? I never understood that. Why would you want to argue with somebody
it's-
on the
it's-
internet?
Lowest common denominator.
Yeah, I mean, it's just-
unfortunately.
for reaction. That's the reason people do anything.
But that's
coming-
my point. Is
and
you
you're
can get
coming from
positive
it.
reaction.
Yeah, well,
Yeah,
you're,
yeah.
I get it, and you're coming at it from an angle of this is who we are and this is what we do, and
Right.
and you're putting yourself out there with it. These people aren't putting themselves out there. They're not letting themselves. They're not putting. Their
That's
heart.
on
They're
them,
just-
dude.
Yeah,
You know what I'm
exactly.
saying?
That's on
But
them.
most people want to take something for you, and we're fucking here to give you something.
You,
You know what
you
I
have
mean?
a choice. Like
That was
every
hot.
time every time you post, you have a choice. You could incite people or you could inspire people, right?
Yeah,
you could
correct.
do either one. And so, just recently, I just made some shit up. I was like, oh, let's just do, I don't know, a selfie flipping challenge, right? And or try this trick and post it no matter what. And I'm telling you, like, my inbox was flooded with like 50 messages of everyone like, oh my god, this was so fun. I tried something new. It's like you could do that, or you could just go there and I don't know, make some political statement, and then get your inbox flooded with a bunch of hate mail. Like, why? What's the purpose of that? Like, where does that go?
Yeah.
I never understood that. So I keep it positive and I try to stay out of it. So does
And it's
Ed,
appreciated,
so.
and I think that's a much better road to take. I agree. I mean, us on a satirical podcast, we have to throw some humor in there. So I'm going to enjoy some of the memes that come through and embrace it. Never make it more serious than it is, because it's not.
It's not, yeah.
Yeah, it certainly isn't.
Well, here's a less dicey political question that is much more relevant, I promise. How do you guys feel about some Chinese companies sort of circumventing the import laws to sell balisongs here? Because I know MaxAce is definitely doing it somehow. I think they're selling the handles and the blade separately, selling it through Chinese wholesale sites. But there are definitely MaxAce covenants, which look like really nice balisongs, showing up here, and they're certainly not made in America.
I would say my stance on that is it's almost the same answer I give for social media. It's like, you can't control what anyone else is going to do. However they want to achieve their goals is on them, and that's not within my power. When Ed and I started this company, we said we were going to do everything 110% legit. We're going to follow all the laws of the U.S. and internationally. Without exception, we're not going to cheat, we're not going to steal, we're not going to step on anyone's backs. That's our principles. And if we stick to our principles, that's all that matters. Because we can't control other people's principles. We can't control what they do.
Just like their social media, that's on them,
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel bad for, legit guys like you guys who have to compete with that.
Dude, they're not even... MaxAce is not putting out product the way that BRS is.
No, but within the balisong
But I do
community.
understand what you're saying, and I have a very... It could be a loaded question. Let's see what happens. So you guys were all at SHOT Show, right?
Yeah.
So did you guys go to the Artisan booth?
I kind of breezed
You know where I'm
past
going
it.
with this, right?
Yeah, the auto thing that's not a Bali, but secretly it's a Bali, and we can
Oh,
And it's also not an auto.
It's all good, and
I did
don't worry
see, I didn't
about
know
it.
the
That
booth,
thing.
yeah.
Well, they've done a bladed version, but I don't think they're going to be able to import it. They have all these red flags flying around on it. So the one that they're selling here is basically a bottle opener and a thing that accepts straight razors,
Okay.
which is an interesting thing. Did you guys handle that? I'm
No.
curious to see.
I saw one. I was speaking with Ben over at Blade HQ, and I think he had one. And it was interesting, and
I heard it didn't flip well. I was curious to hear what you.
I didn't handle it. I just saw it. I didn't even really handle it.
We have the luxury of building exactly what we like to flip. It's like the coolest.
Yeah.
So
you don't
like,
even touch it.
I don't really kind of. I mean, it's cool and shit, but like, I don't like give a fuck really.
It's
probably
not-
flips like dog shit.
I don't even think it's cool. So that's my thing.
I mean, to say that it's cool in the sense of like, I don't get tight about it. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Why would you?
And would I want people to follow the rules and have it be an even playing field? Sure, but if you're going to be on an even playing field with me, you better bring some fucking friends, buddy. Let me tell you.
Yeah,
Because
right?
if it's just if you're going to have to run up against Lawrence and I, but you have to play the same game we're playing here, and you got to come up with the same money and the same have
It's
the
not-
same motivation, the same drive, you're in trouble.
Not a
in trouble.
competition. I don't even think that these guys think that they're gonna compete with true.
I don't know.
They're gimmicky, man. It's all it is. Everybody's got to have
It's a gimmick, yeah, absolutely.
If there's
I'm
low hanging
all-
fruit, there's always somebody's picking low hanging fruit, dude.
And
all
that's
there
why
is
I
to it.
didn't even mind bringing it up with you guys, because
Right.
it's such a what do you call it? A novelty.
Well, I always use like this particular exercise with myself when, say, someone is doing something, making something, whether it's a competition, whether it's drama within the community, whatever it is. Like for this example, let's just use a very extreme example. Okay, they made a Balisong lightsaber. It's a real lightsaber. The shit is just like Star Wars, right?
Okay, that would be
Now, my whole thing is like, okay, well, I still got to wake up in the morning, put my pants on, and run this company. Like, I still have to be BRS.
Yeah,
That doesn't, no matter what they make, no matter what they do and how they do it, I got to wake up and I got to do my best within the principles that we've defined for ourselves, you know. And no matter what someone does halfway around the world or right next door to me, I can't let that waver, especially on my principles, right? I can't say, well, if they're doing illegally importing, well, maybe now we should too. Like, we have to
No, you
be,
can't. You got to stay true to your
steadfast.
stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think ultimately what happens is when someone does that, when you're grounded in your foundation, when you're grounded in your principles and your true identity, that will ultimately give you longevity. We're not here to do this for 5-10 years only. We want to do this for, I mean, like Ed said, we want to pass this down to our kids. Like, we want like legacy from this. We want this to be a lifetime thing. So if you want it to be a lifetime thing and you want to be around for the long run, you got to adhere to strict principles, foundations. You have to have structure within your morals and in your business practices. Now, you can win on the short run if you want to game the system or do a little, you know, like we talked about the Kickstarter stuff, whatever. You can win on the short run, sure. You could win a couple battles, but if you want to play this for the long haul, right?
I have
you
to say,
you
like,
have to be grounded.
You guys are like the first legit production company I think we've had on the show, and it's a really interesting perspective, just to see what drives you guys and how, you know, how to make something big, you know, much larger. It's a different mindset than any custom maker we've talked to, anyone who's had a few production runs. It's a different animal, I think. So
I think other people in our situation would be doing whatever they could to run that cash in as quick as humanly possible. They'd be taking pre-orders out the ass. I mean, it's there to be had. However, we are first come, first serve. We do not take pre-orders. We're building at capacity. We're always evaluating in how we can grow the company and satisfy more of our customer base. We're always engaging that customer base. Again, Dynastic moves to become a bigger part of the cutlery industry. And invariably, somebody will become a bigger part of the cutlery industry. And why could it not be us? That's my question to myself as the CEO. You know, you said that's the title, you know, I'm just going to stick with it. And that, you know, but when you're sitting down thinking of CEO shit, that really comes to my mind first. It's like, what do I do to become truly a member of the cutlery industry? And when I do that, I'm getting an opportunity to globalize my message, and to satisfy more of the customer base that we're constantly acquiring by our marketing effort, by our legitimate, you know, products, by our morals, by our compass as men. You know what I mean? Like, I hate to be too, you know, pedantic about it, but like at the end of the day, like, you know, I want to go sleep good at night, you know, and be like, I make bally songs, and you know what? I'm a flipper, and I understand flipping, and like that's what's up, and like it's real. You can go try and pretend to be that if you want, you know, but you would probably be better served to go do your thing. Like, my thing is, I came from the background of bally song manipulation. And I love cutlery, and that has expanded this whole opportunity of how do we take those core philosophies and infiltrate them into all of our gear. And we're doing that, and I think arguably it's working. You know what I mean? Absolutely. I have bally song projects that are coming out that people haven't even seen yet that are going to blow the roof off.
And you know where a great place to go buy Ballasongs is, and I think they may even carry some of your stuff, is PVK Vegas.
I don't see what you're doing. I see what you're doing there.
I'm trying to slide in an ad because I think what you said was so nice and tied in a bow that it's a good time for our ad. This episode of the Knife Nuts podcast is brought to you in part by PVK Vegas. PVK has been selling knives on the internet since 1996. They are the largest microtech dealer in the United States, specialize in automatics and ballasongs, and have a strong selection of high-end customs. Visit their showroom on the Las Vegas Strip, a 5-minute walk from the USN show. Use coupon code KNIFENUTS for 5% off your order.
So just a heads up, and I'm sure you might have to do a bit of editing, but they do not carry our products.
We'll work on that.
I don't
Awkward.
know if we have enough products to extend to anybody in the moment,
Well, that's true.
but
They
yeah,
specialize in mostly, and we can edit that out. It's not really a big deal.
I think
but
they do.
they
carry Bali songs for sure. I mean,
That was
that's-
where I was going with it. Like
Yeah.
the amount I talk to Jeremiah all the time. Like the amount of ballad songs they're getting in now, custom ones, like higher end stuff.
Oh, cool.
Is that's part of what I was talking about earlier. Is that the interest in it is
It's
only
growing.
gaining momentum. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
So it's a pretty cool thing. But
Well,
what were you going to say? Go for
I
it.
know that we are trying to continue to grow the interest in it, through our own efforts. But however, we partnered with the Blade Show folks in Blade HQ to do the competition again this year,
Oh, that's
and that's
right.
like a
yeah.
huge Bali song competition. And
How
when
many
we're
years
at
have they done that? It's been
Two.
was it
Two.
one or two? Two? Yeah.
Yeah, they've done two. This will be the
Yeah.
third.
I know that was
This is the
hugely
third one.
successful for them, and it's like one of the craziest things I ever watched.
it's pretty fun, yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Yeah, it's pretty insane. And this year they're also going to have me do a Blade University class on Bali Song 101. So it's like an intro Bali Songs class.
Hmm.
Oh, that's
So
pretty
that'll
cool.
be interesting as well.
Wow, that is much better than when they got Jason Browse to teach something. So I'm glad
What
to
did
see
Jason Browse teach?
that. I'm pretty sure he taught a class on like production, scaling up production companies.
Okay.
I know.
Um,
he's got a Bala song. It's on topic.
I guess you're right.
The incel.
Yeah,
But
he
you know
does
what?
make
I'm-
a Bali song, doesn't he?
Yeah, the incel. It looks pretty bad.
He.
Oh.
Ed, these guys are such nice people.
I know. Sorry,
They,
Ed.
they won't. They won't.
And
They won't
Lawrence.
do it.
My bad.
You can set me up for a home run, dude, and I ain't gonna swing at that shit right
He won't swing.
Just
He
not
won't
doing
swing.
it. You know?
Wow. Just
And
gonna
Everybody's
walk
on their own mission, dude. You know what I mean?
That is the truth. Whether it's
Yeah.
better or
Something
for
that
worse.
Ed always says when people are like, "Oh, it's we make a knife," and they compare it to another company.
Oh, stop.
He always comes in and says, "We're not trying to be XYZ company. We're trying to be the best blade runners
Yes.
that we can be."
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think that's very true to what we do. We are motivated by again our own artistry, our own principles, whatever it may be. You know, I still spend a lot of time making the same content I did when all this started, and because of all the YouTube kind of anti-knife, anti-gun algorithm changes, the page, even all of our social media really kind of gets a hit because it's just not promoted the same way.
I
as
have to
if
tell you that I noticed that happening for a while, and
Mhm.
it's really made me not want to put much effort into YouTube because
You
Yeah,
shouldn't,
well,
certainly
how
shouldn't
much-
spend any money on promoted posts and
production
stuff.
and,
It's not getting promoted.
Yeah, it doesn't get promoted, and it definitely affects your exposure. But that being said, I will still, like, I've spent, especially this month, I've been kind of on a tear, but I'll spend like 10, 12 hours editing like a documentary style video. And I know that video on YouTube is going to get like 100 views. Like nowadays, that's what my channel gets, because they kind of shut it down essentially.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, it's not preferred content for the ads. I don't know what it is, but
Wow.
they've essentially shut it down. So it used to be that when I posted something, automatically, it'd get like 1,000 views within a week. But lately, yeah, I mean, if it breaks over 100 after a week, it's doing pretty good. And I know that going in. I know that going in for Facebook, for Instagram, for YouTube, all of that content is only going to fall on a few eyeballs. But I have not scaled back my effort in putting it out, in how much I put into each piece of content, because again, I think if you're doing something for an external motivation, like you just want likes, you just want followers, you just want money, right? Again, it's a short-term strategy. If you're doing something that's fueled from within, though, like it's because you believe in it and you want to do it, and it's your vision, and you'll do whatever it takes.
I
to
think we can
accomplish that
relate to
goal.
that because
That's
everyone
why
knows
those
we're not-
folders aren't disingenuous. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Oh yeah, and that's where I'm going to go with this is, well, first off, I wanted to say that everyone knows we're not doing the Knife Nuts podcast for money because, we're obviously just rolling in it.
Right.
But what I would like to do is actually go through and talk about a couple of the folding knife models in detail, and what your motivation was, and why you collaborated with some people. Maybe talk about some future collaborations that you guys have coming out, and really get into the folder line. Because honestly, this is the longest I've ever talked about ballast songs in my entire life.
Oh, yeah.
And I've really enjoyed it. And now I want more ballast. I want a ballast song, and I want more ballast songs after that.
Come to the table at Blade, and you can see all the folding knife products that we'll have there. But we'll obviously have a lot of ballast song content, and there'll be people there. Maybe go to Lawrence's Blade 101 thing if you're down there at Blade.
I think that's a good
feel
idea.
like
We
doing
already
it.
plan to hang out there anyway, so
And if you want to try a trainer out so that you don't,
that's what I need to do.
egregiously wound yourself, and we can do that. And if you want, obviously you can send it over to Jake, and you send it over to Dave, and
Yeah.
even and send it to
Yeah.
Brian if he's interested in looking at it just from a machining standpoint.
I think that would be cool.
Ain't no
Absolutely.
secrets there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I think that's what I need to just dip my toes in. You know what I mean?
Yeah, check it out. You'd be surprised. It's a pretty engrossing habit.
You know what else
hobby,
too? From a
etc.
practical side of things, for me, as someone who's a knifeman of sorts, like I want to be able someone to be able to a knifeman. I want someone to be able to hand me a ballast song that they're looking at and not look like I have some sort of issue
Yes.
holding up the knife.
You have some sort of motor issue,
Palsy.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
sort of
it's
palsy.
very funny to see that whenever retailers try and do a video on a ballast song and the person on the video has no idea what they're doing, they just
The
kind of limp
two-handed
wrist
open.
it,
Here comes the two-handed open.
I'm not that bad.
or they sort of just limp wrist it until it sort of falls open.
Yeah.
I love
You
that.
can tell they're afraid. I can smell their fear through the internet.
The
when they're
momentum
doing
is just not there. Nothing happens.
Yeah.
that. I'll tell you what, before we move away from Valley Songs, I have been zipped up pretty hard by Valley Songs. I've been to the hospital twice, I think.
Oh, nice.
You should send me the footage of the castle throw.
Tell us. Okay, I
yeah.
guess before we move away from this, you guys got to give us your best ballast song injury story or
That's gotta
funny
be
incident.
it.
That's me.
That was my idea. We were filming at this fort in Maine, and I was on the top of this tower, and I looked down, and it's like a 50-foot drop, right?
No thanks.
So I'm like, this would be an epic throw and catch scene.
Oh, God.
'Cause, as the cameraman, it's awesome. You don't have to do shit when you're the cameraman. I don't flip.
That's me. I take that job.
Yeah, I flip, but when I'm filming, I'm like, people are like, "Oh, you want to be in the scene?" I'm like, "Well, who's gonna hold the camera?" So I can just kind of excuse myself out of everything. So I'm like, Ed, go down there, right? And I'm like, he's like, for what? I'm like, you're gonna catch this knife.
Oh no.
Yeah, I was.
And
I was
he-
gonna catch
Oh,
it.
he caught
And
it.
he
I'm
didn't
guessing.
even
I
hesitate.
caught
He's
it.
like,
Yeah,
"All right."
for sure.
He caught it, but he didn't really. He caught the tang pin, which sliced
Yeah.
the
It was
webbing
like
of it
half a
between his-
rotation the
yeah.
wrong way.
Oh,
Hey, you're
And
close.
it went in between
And-
my thumb and my pointer finger, and into
And
my
what's
gut,
what's crazy is like
That's
he was
touched
really-
my bones down in there.
Yeah,
Yikes.
it was
Yeah,
really it
dude.
was really bad. And
You could look
I was
down in there and
so-
see quite a ways in there.
that's
I
a
don't
bad
remember,
injury, dude. That's a
yeah.
really bad injury.
It was.
It
Pretty
was
gnarly.
it was really bad, but just like I was so engrossed with
In how cool
I was
it
like
was?
because I got it on film. I was just showing everyone, and then I didn't realize I don't forget exactly how it played out, but I forgot that like Ed wasn't there, and then I was
That's
like,
when you use your social media powers, Lawrence, for evil.
yeah. Yeah. See, I'm not that good of a guy, and it
Yeah,
turns out
that's
he
better.
he was.
I
But
like
the
it.
other,
honest-
even the other dudes we were flipping with, they were like, "Well, that's what's up. That's
Yeah,
flipping.
That's just
you
gonna
know?
happen.
It's just gonna happen.
is.
If you're gonna do it at the highest level, if you're gonna do belly saw manipulation at the highest level, you're doing it with a live blade. Period.
Oh,
You
yeah.
went to the
I mean,
hospital,
you
right?
can't be dropping. You can't be dropping a trainer off of.
Yeah, you're not like I
No
juggle
way.
chainsaws that aren't running. Aren't I cool? You know what I mean? Like so. And when you do something big like that, in previous videos we had done really big throws between my homeboy SJ and me, and I caught like a throw from I don't even know, it was like miles away. I could see it coming in. I was like, oh shit, that's coming a little hot,
Oh
So-
my god. You
But I
guys should
still-
actually.
still try to
You guys
catch
should
it.
actually make a ballet song chainsaw.
I'm telling you, dude, I would probably be the fucking idiot that got hurt. doing it. I am the one that gets hurt. It seems to be me. So
Yeah,
Lawrence, you don't
that's
have any
true.
horror stories?
You know, that's the funny thing. I've been hurt pretty bad.
yeah,
but
you got dinged pretty bad a couple times.
every time we film, though, this is the funny thing. Every time I film with Ed, and this is like 100%. Like the statistics are kind of nuts.
Because it's
He
like
gets-
Jackass with knives, bro.
He gets mauled.
It's like,
This is even when I'm flipping too. Like the times I do flip, or if we're practicing or whatever, or if I am on camera, I'll be flipping, he'll be flipping. He gets mauled, right? And I will untouched, like not even like paper cut, nothing. Like I just get away.
You guys are really
clean.
selling it for me, by the way.
well,
Yeah,
the thing,
I don't know why.
It's one-upsmanship, you know. That's
Yeah.
the real thing about it. It's like if you do a big throw, then the next video it's got to be bigger, or no
That
one
is
gives
true.
a fuck.
He does all like these big aerials and stuff, and I don't. That's not my style. Like I do more technical stuff, so I'm way more conservative. So that's
You guys
part
know
of it.
I have barely any frame of reference for any of these tricks. Or
I'll send you a
anything.
video so you can be
Yeah.
like, "What the fuck is
It-
wrong with you?"
In a
I
nutshell,
really already feel that, but you know.
when if Ed or anybody were to say, stand over there, I'm gonna throw this knife at you and you catch it, I'd be like, no, I'm not doing that. But Ed's gonna be like, okay, I'll do that. That's why he gets mauled and I don't, you know.
Oh,
so.
wow.
Dave, let's try and do that with something at Blade Show. You're coming this year, right?
Chainsaw.
Maybe. Yeah,
Chainsaw
if there's
fest.
chainsaws involved, if there's me juggling chainsaws, then certainly. No,
Well, it's
I
official
don't.
that a day. Well, I think Jake, Brian, and myself will definitely be at Blade Show. So
Well, that's
I got to
awesome.
figure it out. I have a lot of stuff those months, so we'll see.
Yeah, I hope you guys come by the booth for sure.
we definitely
Obviously.
will.
Yeah.
We'll juggle chainsaws together. That'll be.
What do you
fun.
want to know about Evolve?
Oh yeah, let's get into this.
Should we start at
So,
the beginning?
I mean, I think we should start at the beginning and talk about like the initial release, and then so I want to talk in detail about each model if we can,
Mhm,
and at least the ones that are released, and then talk about some of the upcoming and then far out plans
Yeah, sure.
or near future plans with you. I know it's never that far away.
Cool, run it. I'm ready.
All right, so basically, I think everything started with Dave. What was that little warning called?
The
You know,
Minuteman, which
the Minuteman.
I was excited to talk about because it is designed by people from Rhode Island. And I'm
Yeah,
from
that's
Rhode Island.
right.
I thought that was such an odd choice for a company's first knife, but it was cool to see.
Those guys are super cool, nice friends of ours, Pat and John, and I think that that knife is a really super excellent user, and I think our treatment of it was a lot of care in preserving their vision for that product. And in all honesty, that is a severely underrated knife. I don't want to sound like, a fucking dildo, but that's a very underrated knife. I'm not just trying to like increase.
Do you know what the
sales.
only thing that puts me off of that knife was?
The smoke wash.
Yeah, that's it. Nothing else. I like the way it looked otherwise.
I listen. You got to fucking be able to be a man and be like, I fucked up, and I messed up in thinking that I could run that as a first SKU and not subdivide that run into multiple iterations of that product and kind of not SKU bomb. Like, I don't like to SKU bomb. That's distasteful to me. It's like, okay, we have a purple one and then a pink one and then a bronze one and then a green one and then like,
What's wrong with the purple one?
I don't know, but SKU bombing with folders is
Yeah, I
kind
know,
of
with
donk.
you.
It's kind of donk. Like, but at the end of the day, if I had just put out 2 iterations, like later on, we bead blasted some of that away.
Yeah, blasted.
and
That was a
it
good
fucking
idea.
looked awesome. I was like, oh shit.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was the hard lesson to learn with the first model. Again, but that comes with putting it out there, having an operational boulder, and being like, okay, now I got to learn how to get around this stuff, so that we can have more success with a product as good as this product.
So are you going to SKU bomb it a little bit now? Maybe do a
I
different
would like
color
to.
of that? Or are you
I
done
would like
with
to
that model?
issue it. No, I would love to issue it in another color. I believe very strongly in that knife. That's a. Cool
I think like
ass knife.
like a Hinderer-esque working finish. Even if you want to go with like the ultimate utility or the perfect EDC air quotes. I think
Yeah, sure.
I think that with like just a blasted tumbled finish would just
Yep.
look great. I don't think
I'll
you need
send you
anything
some
else.
photos of the ones that we blasted, so you can be like, oh yeah, because
Yeah,
I think
maybe I'll
you'll
buy
agree
one
that.
and just blast it.
I mean, you could do that for sure.
I need immediate gratification.
Yeah, right. We'll fire up the blasting media then, because.
I
But yeah,
know
it
it's
looks
fun.
good in that way, and I do think that unfortunately I mentioned Kershaw before, but it's a shame that they kind of just like cheapen smoke wash because
It
it
totally
is kind
ruined
of a cool finish, but
In
it's
our early,
equated
you
to
know, in our early episodes, that's what we talked about. It's like the black
Yeah.
wash finish has been completely cheapened.
Blem washed.
Blem wash.
Blem
We call it
wash,
the blem wash. Yes.
Yeah.
Yo, I
it's a
have to
shame it
jump
has
in.
that connotation though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know, and I know that's.
I
not
have
what
to
we're
jump
doing.
in because I was having technical difficulties and talking for the last 10 minutes and no one could
Oh
hear
my
me.
God. Jake.
Yep, that sounds
When you
about
guys
right.
were talking about the injuries, I was
Thank you,
trying
God.
to ask. Tell me you've seen the movie The Package, because the premise of that film
Yeah, he cuts his.
involves. Yes, yeah. I wasn't gonna. Spoiler alert: he cuts his dick off with a bally.
Yeah.
And
That's the plot
premise
of a
the
movie?
film. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
that's
Basically,
fun.
that's BRS's like story. That's the BRS story.
They're
They're
what I
eunuchs.
was thinking of when they
Yes.
were telling these stories.
Mm-hmm.
So if you haven't, then watch it. But I'm guessing you guys are familiar
I
with the
don't
package.
think I might have fell asleep watching it. Maybe.
I mean, it's not that good a movie. Let's be
Correct.
honest with ourselves.
Yeah, that's
But
where
the
I'm
funny
going.
part is that someone cuts their dick off with a ballast. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how the
that's
mechanics that allow that to happen, but
totally horrific. Considering that
It's
I'm
that-
constantly throwing them around, but I've
Yeah.
not ever once tagged myself in the fucking tackle, not once.
I feel like if I was flipping a ballast song, my dick would just be a scared turtle, just in
inside your body.
It would do
in
the
preparation.
full-
yeah.
Yeah,
Be-
whatever
definitely in
native
its shell.
tuck away.
Yes.
My shit's pretty immutable. It's like whatever, you know. I
At
don't.
this point, I'm sure.
There's certain stuff that definitely fucking clenches me up, dude. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, it's not heights or it's not like catching a bally song or whatever. But, you know, like I don't like bats. You
Like
know,
what? What do you mean?
I'm scared of the animal bats.
Like
I have no
animal-
idea. Yeah, bats. Like if I see a bat, like I'll run like a bitch, dude. I'm like, fuck, get me
Dude,
out
are
of
you
here.
Batman? Because seriously,
No, no,
that's
no.
his whole
You
shtick.
just have to get over the fear so you can fight crime with your
Yeah.
battle song.
But
Oh
I'm like
my-
afraid of bats. But like if you throw a bally song at me, like I'll catch that shit.
What if
but
bally
like if you
song
threw a
shaped
bat
like a
at
bat?
me, I would run. No, I'm out, dude. I'm out. I'm scared of them. I don't
That
know
is
why.
This is so good.
Incredible.
My dad fucking had a MG BGT V6, right? You
Yo!
know, a British, a really,
Yeah!
a nice MG, right, with the overdrive
Amazing.
transmission.
Yep.
We moved to Connecticut, right?
Oh, shit.
To
Yeah.
Reading. We lived in Reading for a little while. He parked it in the barn, and then one day he opened the garage up, and the motherfucking bat shit had rained down on that car for a
Oh,
couple
man.
weeks, and it was ruining that car.
You're definitely Batman.
So he pulled the car out of there and lit an oil
Iguana.
fire in a can, and was
no.
like, "Let's seal him up, and then when we open the door, they won't like that smoke. They'll fuck off out of the garage."
What the hell?
So he
Oh my
opens the
God.
door, nothing comes out. He goes, "Hey, boy, go in there and see if there are any bats in there."
No way.
Right? So he sent me in there with the bats, and after that, I was like, "Fuck bats, dude," because they came firing out of there like you would not believe. And I ran. I just fucking took off running. They were all over me, up in my hair and up my backside and fucking down my britches and everything, dude.
That's
I
an
can't,
alternate,
dude.
alternate Batman origin story, right?
Yes,
there.
I like
Yeah,
this one
dude.
much better.
And I've been ever since then. I've been like, "Fuck bats, dude," and I'm scared to death of them motherfuckers. If I see them little flighty fuckers jumping around, I'm like, "No, not me."
Oh,
but
it's weird.
again,
I love
like on the
that.
other side, yeah, they're great. They're great for the environment and all that. Keep the mosquitoes down. And
You
all
just
that
don't want
great
them
stuff.
anywhere near your hair or your
Nope.
or your.
Nope, I
Wow.
don't want them anywhere near me.
That is
So that's
so
the
amazing.
thing that fucking turtles me up, dog. Like it's bats. You know what I'm saying?
Solid story.
Everybody's got something, I guess.
Oh, that's so good. Oh, man. Maybe
Thanks.
we need to do. You know what we should do
Thanks,
if we
Pop
have some
Pop.
time? We
Making
should
me
have
go
some-
in there with the bats. Fucking ruined
That's
me.
amazing. Have you ever told your father that?
Yeah, of course he knows that. He fucking
Oh.
laughs about it to this day.
That's amazing.
He'll listen to
That's
this
amazing.
podcast too. He'll be laughing.
Oh, that's so good. Oh,
that
that makes
that
me so
MG was
happy.
cool though, dude.
Oh yeah, and was it British Racing Green? What color was it?
That one I think was red.
Red is a good color for it.
Yeah.
Those old like enamel lacquer
Yes,
style.
for sure.
Yeah, it's just really cool paint.
He's got good taste in cars.
Yeah, that is that's a car guy's car. Jake, we were just
Pop-Pop's
talking
cool,
about
too.
like British
We
roasters.
just
What was the
saw
one we
one,
just
and
saw the other day? Was it a TR6 or something?
And I was telling you the story about how I'm supposed to buy one because my dad used to pick my mom up in one of those before I was born or
Conceived?
Yeah.
ejaculated. Yeah.
My dad, I
Yikes.
think, is still looking after a TR6, an early 60-something TR6A, 68, 69.
That's my pick of the
British Roadster? Yeah,
British
that's
Roadsters.
up there. Yeah,
Mhm.
that's a cool-ass car. I would
like
say
a lot
for
of
me,
them. I think that's-
Austin Healey, Mark.
Austin Healey. Well, they're
Yeah.
fast too. That's why.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. My dad had a Lotus Super 7 when he was...
Oh damn.
When he was a younger fella, and he bought it, and when he was leaving the dealership, he pounded on it and blew the slicks right off the back of it.
Damn.
He had to go get tires the same day.
That's ultra British. I love
Yeah, he
that.
roasted the slicks on the back.
That's amazing.
Yeah, Pop's a cool dude. If you guys ever get a chance to meet my dad, he's cool. He's a cool dude.
Bring him
I
to
owe a
Blade
lot
Show.
to him for sure. I would love to bring him to Blade Show. That would be fun.
We'll hire a bat lady.
Yeah, scare the fucking shit out of me.
Dude, you should. I have access to bats.
I just leave him at your house, dude.
Yeah, you should come when you come up here. You come to Philly a day.
You're just gonna leave that there?
We'll do like one of those like exposure therapy things.
You have access to bats?
I have
What is-
access to
I don't
bats.
even know what that means.
Yeah, I mean, you're a big boy and all, but you might catch a throat punch from me if you put me in the same
A
room with a
throat
bat.
punch.
If I have no other way but to
Dude,
get
you
away,
know what? I would allow it. I would allow it. I'd be like, yo,
Going
just punch me
through
right in
somebody.
the throat because this is great.
they just sketch me out too far.
Oh, dude, they're cute. They're like little flying mice.
I know. I should embrace it. I gotta face it. It's my adult, thing. I gotta get,
Dude,
get
it's
through.
okay.
Listen, He's over there talking a lot of shit, but you
Yeah,
put him
no.
near a spider
Shut
and
up!
he cries like a
Shut
little
up,
girl.
Brian.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, no, that's
That's
where.
really funny that you said that because guess who has 2 tarantulas?
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and I used to
Wow.
raise them when I lived in Boston, and I was breeding them and selling them, making extra money doing it. It was like a crazy hobby that I fell into. And I'm telling you, dude, I think at one point I had like 75 spiders in the house.
That is my actual nightmare. I like wake up in the middle of the night and like cold sweats because I dreamt there was a spider on me.
There you go.
Yeah, like what we should do is have like a bats versus spiders fight, like a bat fight,
Yeah.
and then you could scream like spider fight.
with great responsibility.
Yes, that was for
comes spider
Jay.
powers.
I think this crossover already happened, guys. At some point. Oh wait, no, that's Marvel and DC. It never happened.
That only in the amalgamation comics.
Oh yeah.
I'm glad you had the,
Do you remember
source
those?
to cite for that.
Do you remember
Not
those?
all of them. There
It was
a
like
lot of
Spider,
crazy-
Batman, and Wolverine were like
Yeah,
the
yeah,
same
yeah.
superhero. It was really freaking stupid. And
Yes,
it was Superboy and Spider-Man, I believe.
Oh yeah. God.
Yeah. Now you know.
Well, the more you know.
Yeah, back to the
I
minute.
just joined Brian
I'm
taking
sorry.
a nap.
Yeah. I'm sorry. I know that some of this nerd-tastic stuff is a little boring, and obviously a 20-minute diatribe about why I dislike bats was
Oh,
probably not your
that was my
your
favorite
idea.
thing.
Yeah, yours.
No, the
but-
bad thing was fun. Trust me.
I'm kind of concerned about putting my fear of spiders out there. Let me tell you.
Well, I
So
think
talk about getting throat punched.
come Blade Show, you might just want to, just keep an eye on.
You know, but I will. One more thing about like the fear thing of stuff like that. Like, you're equally fascinated by them because like I watch spider videos all the fucking time just to skeeve myself out and kind of like. I just think they're kind of cool. Oh my God, Dave! This is not the first time the spider shit popped up, right?
Is it not?
No, remember on Tim Reeves' fucking podcast.
Oh yeah, it did. Oh my god,
There was
yes.
like a
this is-
half-hour diatribe about
We
spiders
we
and
got to
my
move
fear
past
of
the spider topic that we can't get off. Yeah, we spent at least half an hour talking about spiders. It was unbearable.
Well, for my part in it, I apologize.
Oh, don't you dare!
You're the guest.
Don't
You're
you
allowed to talk
dare.
about whatever you want.
Don't you dare. But the Minuteman, I don't think I ever handled one. I would never disliked the shape. Like I said, it just came back to the finish for me.
This is a cool knife. They made a cool knife. It operates very well, and people who actually have taken it and purchased one, they're all happy.
I
They're
agree.
you
I
know
don't
what
think
I'm
I've ever
saying?
seen anyone complain about it.
Yeah,
it has a
correct.
very good reputation.
Yeah, it
Uh,
does. But it is
but-
a little underrated. I would say it's coming in as an underrated product. And it was a first product too, and I don't, there's people are still like going like, what's going on here. And so it might have suffered some of that. But in multiple finishes, I think it continues to be a winner for sure.
I would.
I mean, I'm not saying they're sitting around collecting dust. We sell them, but they're. I would love to do it in another finish so that more people will take a shot at it if they won't do it because they don't care for the smoke wash, Because at the end of the day, once you get one, then my confidence goes up because I know you're going to be like, oh shit, this is useful. That blade shape is very useful, without a doubt.
I
And
agree.
it's operationally, its opening and closing and stuff is that's very
cool.
dialed.
It looks like everything looks well placed on it. It just looks like a cool knife. But getting to the next model, which was right up my alley, was the Apache, which I believe is the next model, right?
Yeah, that was in-house. That's one of our in-house designs.
I am.
That was a lot of fun.
I like knives that look like me, meaning they have a big belly, and I think,
Got some belly.
and that's just my kind of knife right there. It's
I
a
think-
lot of cutting edge in a compact knife.
There wasn't
Yeah, I
a lot
think-
of belly around. We were like, oh, maybe.
Huh?
Yeah,
You know what I
that
mean?
knife, I think that knife is kind of a very good example of our mission in trying to match form and function. Because I think if you look at that knife, or as you guys spoke about the fragment earlier, initially you're like, oh man, that looks it's very angular, it's kind of aggressive, and it may not initially look like it's gonna melt in your hand, but then you pick it up and it's like, whoa, it just kind of melts in your hand. And the blade is different, but it's got a relatively high grind, it has a lot of belly, so it actually has
It's pretty
a ton of
traditional.
functionality.
Like, I don't-
yeah,
yeah, it's a
it's
very
like
functional
traditional, but also
With
kind
crazy
of edgy in
details.
its design.
Yeah, I would say it almost has some Giger-esque things going on without going overboard, which is kind of neat.
We got to work with someone really super special on the solid file. That ended up being like a lifelong friend that we still do work with today. This guy Tom, and I'm telling you, man, like as far as taking the original concept of what I had drawn, and then Lawrence taking that concept and really getting it into software, and then Tommy taking that and going that next step with it. It was also a really great way for like all of us to come together and start working together. Do you know
I
what
mean, the drawing is beautiful, like, and the manufacturing on the knife itself is excellent.
Yeah, it's high quality stuff.
There's not a hard edge on it. It's really well thought out. And I
We're
was
going
really
after
impressed.
A+ OEM on all
Yeah,
this stuff.
I mean, it really blew me away because that was like my first introduction, and my expectations were high. I didn't think it was going to be bad, but it certainly did exceed them, and I think I told you that upon receiving it.
Yeah.
And that was
No,
months
I
ago at this
appreciate it.
point. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
After that was the fragment,
Correct.
which we talked about in detail, and I'm not going to linger on it too much, but again, I think that's a knife that has that polarizing sort of look, but once you get it in hand, you're gonna appreciate what it is, and the attention to detail, like having the two-sized hex inserts. I think it's just a practical little knife. I know a lot
That's
of
another in-house design there. And not for nothing, one thing we're not really touching up on is price point. And
value is
believe,
there.
I believe pretty
Yeah.
strongly in those prices.
And I was deliberately holding back on the value side of thing because at the end of the day, like, you came in aggressive with this pricing, and that can be a dangerous thing to do for a company, and because preconceived notions over what a knife should be and what it should cost from that perspective, as well as from the industry as a whole. So it's a tough line to.
I think we learned a lot from the way that we built our Valley Song projects, and in choosing the price points that we did, made them price obtainable to a large market of people, who were looking for that particular product. Excuse me, I've got like a cough. And then, how is that not applicable here? You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to distance myself from people, and I don't want things that sit on the shelf because someone's like, yeah, but that's, $230 that I would shovel. If I was going to spend $250, I would spend it here. I want you to.
I think you made it a no-brainer for a lot
Yeah,
of
you know, I'm
people.
trying to
Yeah.
no-brain it. Yeah, for sure. I haven't changed the price point of those Bally songs since their inception. You know how hard it is to
That's
hang on to those
incredible.
MSRPs?
I don't know how you did it. And bringing
It's
it back
tough.
to Apple too, like I just because I was something that rings true to me is that the price of the iPhone. Like people talk about like $1,000 phone, like 10, whatever. The price of the phone that the iPhone's been around now almost 12 years, and the first iPhone that came out was $650, and you can get a new phone now for $750, and I think that's an interesting parallel to make with the knife world. Is like what
Yeah.
if you go back 12 years, what did $179 get you?
Right.
You know what
Well,
I mean?
it's kind of crazy as to what it gets you on the world manufacturing stage
Mhm.
now. And so
Mhm.
sometimes you have to look at some of the choices and MSRPs that people are participating in, and you got to start to wonder, like, is this an inflated number? Is this MSRP a
Uh-huh.
number,
Where does
some
it
sort
really
of number to
end?
play
Yeah.
ball? Like, where does it really end?
Mhm.
And where we want to really end is where the customer is like, this is like, I'm getting so much knife for this money, like, this is great. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Not like having them to have to kind of investigate like how much of a number is baloney and how much of it is like what the knife is really worth to you. You know?
Mhm.
Yeah, for sure.
And I think I do think that the Minuteman may have been your first initial, obviously your initial release, but I think the Apache is your breakthrough. I think that's something that's gonna hit a lot of people.
Yeah, I like that Apache too. I really do.
That moves us on. I mean, I don't know what order the next one is. Is it the Thresher that comes next?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Thresher XL with Mike. Yeah,
Yeah, I think it's just badass, dude.
it sounds like you're cocking a shotgun when you fire that thing off too.
It really does. It's like it's just a great feeling, and that's a great design. I mean, it's a tried and true design. Everyone knows, Mike's design of the Thresher and the story behind it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because, I mean, it's hard not to bring up the fact that another manufacturer made the design as well, but
Yeah, I'm curious
it
about
doesn't.
that.
It doesn't. They both are unique. There's not like a. They don't feel like the same knife to me.
Anything
make
that we
sense?
do, we're gonna obviously put that type of like those Easter eggs or the stylization
Mhm.
or whatever you want to call it. It has a very touch, of us that, and we want to make sure that the maker's cool with that. So obviously we're working in tandem with these guys, right along. And when we did the Thresher XL, he was like, "I do this knife called the Thresher. Have a look at it. Would that be something you were interested in?" I'm doing a smaller one. Do you want to do a full size one? And I was like, looked at that and I was like, how big? We went over some dims and I was like, hell yeah, we should do this. Like, look at
One-
the size of this thing. This thing is awesome.
One
And
thing
so I'm
that-
very happy with the product that we got
Oh,
from it.
dude, it's badass, and I can't wait for more people to get their hands on it because
Yeah, I
they're
think
gonna
people
freaking
will
love
like
it.
it.
And the price point on that is like talk about a no-brainer. What does that one cost? Like, I think one.
I think we're going to
something?
do 189 on that.
Yeah, forget it.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's
bad.
the same price as the Mass one, but it's bigger, so that's a pretty good deal.
It's the other thing is that it feel. I gotta send you, Dave. I've been really like hoarding a lot of these, to be honest with you. But I need to send you this one because it doesn't feel like the Mass Drop one. It has its own character, and it also has a bit of a forward choil, so it adds a little more functionality to the knife as well, without sacrificing any cutting edge.
Yeah, I mean,
Sorry, that was just a monologue I was having with Dave about the knife.
Well, the Mass Drop folks are nice people, and
They are.
we put the XL designator on the end of the name
Out of
of the
respect for
project.
them, sure.
Yeah, but also just to be like, yo, just to make sure like this is the fucking big one. Like this thing is
Yeah,
huge.
right.
You know what I mean? And it's just it's another knife that I'm excited to work with Mike because it's something that we've been trying to put together as he's grown as his own brand and his own custom maker identity, and then if we've kind of been growing in tandem, you know what I'm saying? Like we were all talking like in the beginning when we were all kind of getting going, and so this is a chance to round back with friends and be like, look, I always wanted to do this shit with you guys.
Yeah,
And here we are, doing it.
Yeah. That's
Brian
a
will tell
legacy.
you, I've said the same thing to Brian when we first met Brian. I was like, dude, we should do something. And like,
there's a honeymoon thing going on here. You see this theme that's happening in this time?
but he'll
Butter 'em up.
validate the fact that that's what's up. You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like, I
sure.
literally was like, Brian is one of the guys that was there when we first got going. And, you know, he was getting going and stuff as well, or was probably already up and making some pretty badass customs at that point.
You know what's interesting?
And I was like, fuck, I want to do something with this dude. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah, absolutely.
and still
you know
do.
what? And I'm glad that you. That's not subtle at all. You know.
No, I'm straight up and down saying I want
I
to
know
work
you
with
are,
Brian.
and
I
that's
think he's
freaking
cool,
awesome.
and I like his knives, and I believe in his choices there for sure.
His
Thank you.
philosophies. And that's going to actually, Brian, I wanted to talk to you about this because you prefer larger knives too, right? Like just in general.
Yeah.
And I feel like it's starting to creep back into the mainstream too. I'm not saying like I can predict like a trend.
Right
but
place, right time.
right place, right time. You know, I think there was a time where people just wanted really tiny knives and stuff like that, and then people realized, oh, well, these are too small. You know, I kind of needed a little bigger. And I feel like maybe you guys have a catalog that ranges from tiny to huge, but where do you guys see the trend going? Do you think the larger knives are going to come back, or is it a...
At SHOT Show, I kind of noticed that the small knife was kind of trending. I know Kershaw, or was it ZT? Their main knife was that little tiny guy.
With Tim.
And yeah, with Tim, and there was a few other booths that I saw where they were pushing real small stuff, small autos, stuff like that. So I think that small and light is trending, but I don't think that necessarily means that big is trending down.
No, and I
Yeah.
think what's interesting, and Lawrence, I'm glad you mentioned that, because I feel like the production companies are like maybe a year or so
Behind.
what.
Yeah.
Do you want to know why? You want to know why Gretzky was a great hockey player?
Because he was thought ahead.
Because he played where the puck was gonna be.
I knew there was like, it was gonna be. I feel like that's also the strategy in Space Invaders.
Yeah, kind of. It's a good way not to fucking get your ass kicked.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Play where the puck is gonna be.
I think it's just an interesting. You can see the, like I said, knife collectors are pretty fickle. So once they have something, they want something else, and I think that's the upward battle that Brian faces sometimes with how he designs stuff and like what size does he make it in. But you guys can bring out an entire line of stuff and kind of see where the market takes itself. It's a cool.
You kind of have to make everything because it's almost like fashion, right? I mean, one day baggy clothes is in, then it goes out, and then it comes back again. I mean, you see a lot of stuff that's inspired by the 80s now in shoes and clothing. Like the 80s is kind of making a comeback. So I don't think everything ever goes out. I do remember a time when I first got back into knives about 10 years ago, there was kind of a theme, and it was because of the Spyderco military, because it carried so compact, but it was a humongous
Huge
knife.
Yep.
And that kind of like started this whole discussion about, well, why carry a compact when
you can have
you
a
can
lot of
carry
knife
it?
in a...
Yeah, you can carry a bigger knife that's thin and narrow, and it's not going to feel much different from the small knife, but it's going to give you like a 4-inch blade as opposed to like a 1 or 2-inch blade that's not as functional, and it's not, weight wise, maybe it's a couple ounces more, but you're getting like double the blade. So
Totally.
so that's more of it's not even a trend. I think that's also more of a discussion in design philosophy and efficiency.
And there's a lot of people who's like, oh, I need to have, it's got to be a 3-inch, or it's got to be a 3.25, it's got to be a 3 points. I don't think there's any difference in carrying something like that, like a 3.25-inch knife versus a 4-inch knife, personally.
Right.
In terms of how it actually feels in your pocket. I mean, it's really everything else, every other dimension of the knife that you actually feel.
It's a mix between function, but it's also a mix between, like you just said, feel and character,
And
right?
and the fashion piece of it too. Like,
yeah, and like I'm heavy into watches, and like I like a steel bracelet. I like a Yeah, I know. That's another,
That's not- that's not-
Pandora's box.
I
But-
don't wear titanium watches because I don't like the way they don't feel hefty on my.
Yeah, there's a difference between a heavy watch and a light watch. I like the feel of a heavy watch, and some people don't. I mean, it's almost the same thing if you're going to shoot like a polymer pistol or
Precisely.
1911.
Yeah.
Like
Exactly.
some people like that weight and the way it handles, and other people are like, oh, I
I'd
don't
rather
want to
know
carry
I'm wearing the watch. I'm with you
tongue.
guys.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great call out there too. So what's next? What's the next? I know which one I'm looking forward to, but I got to tell you the name's a little trendy for me. It's probably going to work out well for you. Is the Overwatch?
The Overwatch, yeah. That's a cool ass knife. That's another
It's
in-house
a cool looking
product.
knife.
Yeah.
I've been
it's
waiting
another-
for so long for that to come out
I
because
know.
that
It's
night
kind of the one
was-
one of the ones we started with first.
It was very, very challenging to design because we wanted to capture everything that we put into it from the prototype phase. But when you migrated that to the production phase, we didn't really want to sacrifice a lot of the look and a lot of the feel and the stylistic cues. We kind of put in the works. It's subtle, right? It's not over the top, but if you look at the way it's designed, there's a lot of subtleties, a lot of little design cues that they look subtle, but design-wise are very difficult to pull off efficiently. So that one I'm really excited about because that one gave us fits in the design process, and we finally kind of wrapped it all up and figured it all out and got a really nice functional prototype. So I'm pumped about that one.
I'm that guy too. When the package arrives, and I open everything up and I'll look at it and flip it open and whatever, and I'll be like, nope, send it back.
Wow.
Just like that, dude. Like if it ain't right, I can tell it ain't right. That's that. That's just that.
You know what? I want everyone to be able to look on. If anyone who's listening is actually curious, you got to go to their website, BladerunnerSystems.com, and they have a whole section dedicated to the Evolve line, and you can actually. I've never seen a company that's so transparent with their design process and philosophy, and it's all written there in black and white. So you can actually go through and look at some of the upcoming designs right on there.
What Ed said is so true too, to the point where when I know it got to his house, I get nervous because I'm like,
yeah.
because the text is going to come. He's either going to say it's awesome, or he's going to just remain silent and not say anything. And I'm like, I know it's coming. I'm like, he's about to rip this prototype a new asshole, and I know, if he's like that, I'm like, it's over. I never say, well, send it to me, let me see, maybe you're just judging it too critically. I don't even do that. He's like, do you want to see it? I'm like, just send it back. I'm not even going to argue with you. Just send that shit back. Seriously, so it's nerve-wracking for me, but...
Maybe with a touch of salt. It has to be a little bit of salt.
Yeah, but when he does like it, then it's the same thing. It's like, well, it's awesome. Do you want to see it? I'm just like, nope. Just don't even waste your time. Don't waste a week sending it to me. Just go and
let's go
have
to work.
Have it done. Yeah, let's go to work. I don't often see these. I see the prototypes, but a lot of the times I don't see a lot of the final production, and I miss a few of the phases just because of that. I trust him to that level where I'm like, you don't need to waste time for me to write it up. Just go ahead and go with it. Yeah. So
the workflow is there, for it to land at my house, for me to pour over it, for me to talk to Lawrence and Tommy in WhatsApp, and we're working constantly on this stuff, constantly. You know what I'm saying? Like by the time you see a knife, I'm past that knife. I'm down. Like right now for normal people, it's 2019 or whatever. Motherfucker, I'm telling you, it's 2020 for me right now.
Yeah, wow. Yeah, I mean, and you have that really. I think that collab you have with Nova Blades is going to be a hit. I think that's going to be it.
That I think I don't want to misspeak, Lawrence, but I think MSRP wise, that thing is like a gift as well. Like
You were telling me.
Really great spot.
we're aiming for, and I guess this is kind of unofficial, but we're trying to aim for under 150 for that knife. We want to be in the 140s if we can. With
Dave,
that knife.
Jake, did you guys see this thing?
Which one is it?
It's the what's it called? The
the Nomad.
Nomad.
Let me
It's
Google.
the Nova Blades collab.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
It's
no, I saw it at the show.
It's a titanium liner
Yeah.
lock,
Yep.
right?
You
Yep.
and Jake checked
It's,
it out when
it's
we
a
were sitting
steel.
at,
It is a
Yeah.
steel liner lock, not
Yep.
Yeah.
It's steel.
I
It's
saw
steel
that one.
liner,
Steel.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah.
Cool grind.
Yeah, and we worked up another blade shape on it too, so I really like
Oh.
that knife. I think it's got
What's
some
the
layers.
other?
do you-
is
yeah,
the
I'd
other
say, what are you
blade
going
shape
for?
A drop point of sorts.
It's a Bowie.
It's a Bowie.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
That should be
It's-
interesting.
It's a sexy one though.
Yeah, because
And
the,
then,
the Tanto wasn't for me, but that sounds awesome.
did I tell you about John Gonzalez at Dervish?
You did not.
We
Well,
have
maybe you
a-
mentioned it in passing, but I don't think.
we're
anything
doing
detailed.
the Navajo with him.
Oh wow.
And dude, let me tell you, when I first started getting into knives, like way back when, in like I don't know, 2000.
That was one of the ones that got you.
Yeah, I was like, oh man, I wanted an alchemy really bad, and I literally had to like make a whole company just to get one of his knives. You know what I mean? But like, just a dude that I like, his design aesthetic really speaks to me and stuff. So to get a collab with him too is awesome.
That'll
then-
be a cool.
Yeah,
collab.
for sure. There's some
That's
people
gonna
on the
be
hit
in,
list too for collabs too. Yeah.
That'll be the first knife that we do in a bit of a higher end steel too. That's going to be M390. So that's going to be interesting.
Especially
Cool.
if, with M390, if you can keep the price point under $200 or something like that, you're doing good.
Yeah, people are starting to offer it for under 200, which is pretty nuts to think about.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. I mean, our steel is lab tested steel, so I would say if someone's offering a product like that, that's a comparable size and thicknesses and so on and so forth, for under 200, you might want to shake
Well,
the
I'll-
tree and see
I'll-
what falls out of it.
Well, I'll tell you what it is. It's just they're not making any money on it. At least
Yeah.
in the instances
Sometimes
that,
there are loss leaders in this industry for sure.
Yeah,
People need
that's-
things to garnish attention, but
in my experience, the steel has all tested 100%. It's just your margins on the knife are just nothing. You know.
yeah.
So
Well, like I
it's-
said, sometimes that's a choice. You know?
well, I mean, I'm sure you can do it. It's possible to do it in the mid 200s.
Oh yeah,
I
for
think-
sure. I think. you
Yeah,
can
I
do
mean, it's even if it's not under 200, it's going to be, not much further. I would imagine.
We're not really creeping much past that with this
Yeah, I
particular
mean,
product, if
that's-
at all. So
Yeah, that's a good place for you guys, and I think it's where you're gonna.
for sure. We have
I
the
can't
little
wait to- I can't wait
fixed
to see
blade
that,
with
man.
Jeff. We did do the imp and take that to production. We put it on a little emulating sheath. It's like a rotating sheath, like the old cell phone sheath. You could like spin around,
Oh,
so you
wow.
can carry it, scout carry, or carry it straight up and down. It's kind of fun.
That's thinking outside the box there.
So we did do that little fixed blade with him, but I would love to do a folder with Jeff too. Eventually, if,
That would be cool.
I wanna do right-
His design language would work well with you guys.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
think so too.
Absolutely.
Who else do you guys think you're going to be collaborating with? And
I
know
want to
we've
work
talked
with
about it.
Brian. Obviously, we said that in the
Jesus.
show. Brian knows
I
that.
see what this is all about. You just want to
That's
come
why
on
we
here
came
to
on
kiss up
Knife
the
Nuts to
Infiltrating it.
fucking see if we could get Brian fucking get down with some. fucking
you know what? I'm not even mad about
It
it.
would have been much easier to give me a call. It would have been better for both of us.
shit. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Brian. I probably should have done that.
What about with Jake Lucas Custom Knives? I heard he's an up-and-coming maker from
Oh.
Pennsylvania.
We, Brian for sure. John Gray.
John Gray.
I've been friends with John for a while. He's another dude where actually I probably should call him. He's the
That's
best
the only way.
to,
Are
to
you
work
kidding me?
with
That's
him
the
is to
only
call.
way.
Yeah,
That's the
I've tried
only
some
way-
different, like, kind of texty back and
Oh,
forth
no, that's a
stuff.
terrible idea.
Does
No,
not
no.
work. Yeah.
The only text I ever got from John Gray was when my father passed away. That was
Oh, damn.
literally. He doesn't text at all, and he made me know. And I actually got a chuckle. He got a chuckle out of me during a horrible time. He was like, "I want you to know that I texted this," and I was like, "He really did."
As you
So
read
that's
off.
how rare a text from John Gray is.
He's foot to the floor, that guy, for
Yeah,
sure.
make him give you a good
He's foot to
design though.
something. He's foot to something.
He has good designs. There's
Yeah.
no. I mean,
Don't let him
there
give
are-
you one of the fish hooks.
no. There's production challenges in trying to do some of his asymmetrical stuff and this thing and that thing. And so when you're thinking about bringing something at scale and at production, we got to choose a project that really works best for that. So he's someone I would want to work with. I love his stuff. My wife has a keeper. I have a keeper. Like even some of the just like the little knick-knack things he does.
Knick-knack.
I think very.
I think the keeper has some mainstream potential.
It's
I
a
just-
very, very It has a lot of character, that thing.
I
And
carry mine literally every day. It's like
I have one on right now. I hasn't left. It's just hooked on my pants, and that's what's up. I don't even fuck with my.
mine's
car
got
keys anymore.
abalone inlays. What does yours have?
I have a one that's a glow one and one that's a standard one.
I have a glow one too. Those glow
Oh,
ones
shit.
are cool.
We're keeper buddies. Oh yeah.
Oh boy, here we
Um,
go.
Diskin, Matt Diskin. I would love
Oh,
to work
yeah.
with Matt Diskin.
You know,
just another cool
big
ass
friend
dude.
of the podcast. We love him.
Yeah, he's just cool, and his knives are fucking baller. Tim Gallion, I would like to do something with.
Is
Never met
Tim
Tim.
under exclusive contract with Kai still though? He just
don't
came out with that
know.
new design.
If anyone can break that contract, it's probably BRS.
I would say that I think he has his own custom stuff he's migrated to.
Yeah, he just
And-
started making customs again.
Yeah, and I mean
That design is very nice. Yeah.
he's a talented ass dude.
Yes,
Definitely.
incredible.
And then obviously some more in-house product. We never stop. You know, we're always concepting. You know what the next couple in-house projects would be. And then RJ, I've been talking to RJ ever since we go into Nick's. I'm friends with his son, who's a cool ass dude. My dad collects pens as well.
I was
So
saying he's the pen guy.
yeah, I got some pens off him. They're super high quality, really nice. You know,
I want to hang out with your dad.
my dad is a cool motherfucker for sure.
He's cool.
He
He's
likes
awesome.
pens
He's
and
real
old
cool.
sports cars and
Yeah,
stuff.
Pop Pop knows what's
and
up.
bats.
Yeah, he does.
He
He
knows
likes-
bats.
He has no problem with bats.
RJ Martin will be
But,
interesting because I feel like there hasn't been a lot of justice done in the production
There's
arena.
never been an RJ Martin production knife that felt like an RJ Martin.
Yeah, what was that ZT,
Yeah.
the 0600, the gigantic one?
I had one of those.
I
It
had
was a
one
cool
too.
knife,
It was-
but it was
it
not
was
an
terrible.
RJ Martin.
I don't want to say it was terrible, but it was terrible.
It wasn't.
When you
terrible.
open up one of his customs and you know that my buddy
ting,
has one
the
of those.
sound, everything
yeah,
about it.
Yeah,
is
that
very
was-
distinctive.
Christ.
And the ZT
Yeah,
did
for
none of those things, and that's why it was not that
No.
great.
I think that must it may be something that's very difficult to capture in the production
Yeah.
space.
Well, no, it just had a real floppy detent, and the blade was like
It was
I don't know,
huge.
3/16
was
of an
like-
inch.
Yeah, it was half
thick.
an inch thick.
Yeah, it was
Now,
nuts.
if it came down between a collaboration between, I don't know, let's say Brian Nadeau and RJ Martin, who would you choose?
Uh-oh.
You're such a douche.
If I
Let's say
if I
one
had to
said they
make
wouldn't
the
work with
choice,
you if the other
I
made a
would
knife.
say it's somewhat difficult to land RJ. And if I felt that RJ was as playable as Brian, it might be a tougher choice. But I've been working with RJ Martin for a long time, if you understand what that means.
I do.
So the right now, I think that it's like if Brian would commit to a design that he wanted to run through BRS Evolve, I think that would be very actionable.
You
So
hear
that's
that,
my
Brian? Actionable.
that's my best.
yeah,
I
Brian,
mean
you've
every
never said that.
I still
designer
can't
has
get
a
over the
book.
fact that he said R.J. Martin over me, so now that's like I
It's
can't
never
get past
happening.
it.
He didn't say RJ Martin over you.
He did.
I'm just kidding.
Yeah, I know.
I mean every
This is a-
every
this is
designer
2
has
told you,
a
Ed.
and
every
at the
designer has
bar
a
at
book
2
of
o'clock in the
product.
morning situation.
I'm telling you that there's passive income in your book. You're never going to make every design you're going to make, Brian. You're never going to realize
Pitch.
every
I
one of
love
those.
this pitch.
Do you know what I'm saying? And there's really no sense to not on board with a company
I
that has a
agree.
fresh look, a fresh face.
Slick.
Do you know what I'm saying? That is trying to do something markedly different from everybody else, where your product can have a home and be treated, in a kind of a different way.
You heard it here first, folks.
Very slick.
That was,
If that's something that you're interested in, then I think that phone call you were talking about is not too far away from happening.
or maybe irrelevant.
Someone
because,
drop a bomb for
you
that
just
one.
did it right now.
Right?
Oh yeah.
We could
that's-
talk for sure.
that
Yeah,
is-
I appreciate that. I know it's something we've talked about before, dude. And like I said, when we're working with people right now, it's literally a laundry list of people whose work that I admire. I'm like,
my God.
You know what I'm saying?
I just had an idea. Yo,
Do it live.
Do a Knife
No,
Nuts
I'm gonna
podcast
do
one.
it live right now. The Cyclone fits BRS's aesthetic so well.
Oh, shit.
Am I wrong?
No.
First off, that was my worst selling knife. Why would I ever make that
want
again?
it now. Every time I post the Cyclone, it was like, how can I get one? Where can I get one? You can't get one because Brian said it's the worst design he's ever made.
Well, that's the only reason those people want one right now. And I mean,
I still think
I
it's,
think it's
still
I think it's a
one
bad
of the
idea.
best designs you've ever done.
I think it's a great design too. It's my first one of your knives. Still have it.
Ed, are you familiar with the Cyclone?
I am a big Typhoon dude.
Everyone's a Typhoon.
There's too many
I know,
of them.
I know,
There's too many Typhoon dudes.
Check out the
look.
Cyclone. I think
the
it really
Cyclone
does.
Is the,
It's very curvy and
it's
aggressive
like the
looking.
vented handle in back or whatever.
Only some are vented.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. You don't have to
Why?
fucking shout at me.
I'm gonna yell and shoot bats out
This
of
is
my
Brian's big
Yeah, right.
stand right here. How dare you accuse them all of being
Listen,
vented?
I'm just spitballing here. I just think it would work. That's all I'm saying. I think you guys could do something.
I think it would
cool
fit the
with
aesthetic too.
Yeah, I think it fits the aesthetic as well.
Now you're just lying.
Now that he got the Google image up and is looking at it, he's realizing.
Now I had to
it's-
pull
it fits the
I had to pull that. It's the one with the scallop and the blade that I like too. I like that
Yeah.
too. Yeah.
He's just making stuff up now. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine, Ed. I see how it is.
I'm good off the cuff, motherfucker.
Yeah, you are. You know, you're good. You're pretty good. So what else? I mean, we've been talking for a very long time.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Your guys' time
we've-
doing this.
Are you kidding me? I had a blast. You're. It's so nice not to have to force people to talk.
That
You know
is
what I mean?
good.
Like one of the hardest things about doing this podcast, and it's not very hard at all. I'm just going to put that out there. but the truth is, that sometimes you got to like really probe for information.
That's
you know,
true. Yeah.
and you guys are an open book. Like I didn't. It's so appreciated, and I hope our listeners really understand that this was just a very genuine time. There was like no prep for this. Like
Yeah.
we just know each other, and we said a long time ago that you're our kind of people, and we get along. So it's just it was an obvious choice to have you guys on the show.
Yeah,
and
that's cool to hear, dude. I appreciate
Our
that.
listeners are going to react to this episode. I think that's my prediction.
You guys are in Philly?
some of us.
Yeah, we're spread out.
Oh, okay.
One's in someplace else, and one's in New Jersey.
Or
Oh,
at his secret
Well,
location. I'm in
Brian's
Connecticut.
Jersey, but I mean, like I fly down. I'll fly down there to work with Lawrence. Not too long. I think we
Lawrence,
should
where do
probably
you
get
live?
together.
I'm in Central Jersey.
Oh,
I mean,
okay.
Oh,
Yeah, right smack dab in the middle near the coast.
Oh man.
Old Bridge.
You didn't
Attleboro.
grow up in Central Jersey, though.
You- in Old
right?
Bridge?
No, I didn't. I grew up
Did
in
you say you're
Denver.
from near Old Bridge?
Old Bridge? Yeah.
Dude, there used to be a concert venue in Old Bridge that I used to go
I-
to every Friday night, and it burnt the fuck down.
Oh well, no. Well, I was gonna say something, but that one's still up, so I guess.
Which one is it?
Is Starlight Ballroom? I think that's
Not
what it
Starlight
is.
Ballroom. I know that's still there, but I forgot what it was called. But it was the craziest thing ever. But it was in Old Bridge, New Jersey, and we would all drive out there, and like every local metal band would be playing there. And even then, I was a kid, and I was like, "Wow, this place is a fucking fire hazard." There's like one exit on one end, and there's like 3 stages in between. But that's all I think of when I think of Old Bridge, New Jersey. I saw Blind Guardian there for the first time.
Wow,
Nice.
that's a pretty
Yeah.
good venue though.
It
Shout
was.
out
We have
shout out to
some
Old
similar
Bridge.
tastes in metal.
Wait, so Ed, where are you?
I know
Where are
we
you
were
then?
talking a little bit about the fantasy.
Where am
metal.
I? I'm in Maine.
Oh shit, really?
He's in the
Yeah.
coolest state of all of us. I would
What
say.
part of Maine?
I'm in mid
The
coast
middle
Maine.
of nowhere.
Oh, so not near Portland.
Middle of nowhere.
Shit.
Where marijuana
It takes
is legal.
me 50 minutes to get to a Walmart, so I'm out
Yeah.
there.
Every time I go up there, my friends are like, "Oh man, I heard it's nice. What are you gonna do there?" I'm like, "I'm not gonna do shit. This guy lives
There
like,
ain't shit to do.
He's gonna work on
Yeah.
his basement, is what he's gonna do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And every time I go, it's for
Way out
work
there.
anyway. So,
Right.
you know.
Damn.
It's nice up here.
Yeah.
If you like being outdoors and, hunting, fishing, camping, shooting, that's great for all that type of stuff as well.
There aren't a
think
lot
a
of knife
retreat
companies
is
in
in-
New England, so that's cool too.
Yeah.
The retreat is in our future. That is for sure.
Oh, yeah, come up by all means. By all means. Or like I said, if I go down, Philly's
Oh
not
yeah.
that far
Oh, we
either,
got
like-
absolutely. We should just plan something. I don't know why we wouldn't have done this already.
No, it's totally within the realm of reality. I would love to do it. like I said, we're big fans of, you know, you guys are content generators. I fucking have had fun listening to the pod. I need to catch up on the Liang Ma episode. He's another dude that I would love to work with. Speaking of people to work with, I've known that cat for a while, man. From that Nick's show. That Nick's show really opened my eyes up to a lot of people and put me in touch with a lot of people. The guys from Spartan, really super
They're
cool dudes.
Great guys, yeah.
You know, like I feel like I don't want to forget anybody that I want to call out and be like, these people were nice to us. Like, you know, go and patronize their products or go see what they're all about. Like,
I'm not, obviously for us, it was like the Reeves, Spartan, all
Yeah,
those
yeah.
guys are just good people, you know.
but do you know what I mean, Levin? Like when you come from a place of appreciation, how different your fucking whole jam is. Do you know what I mean?
And you know, I absolutely do. And you know, it's without getting into another diatribe of something. For me, like I've been in a position where I'm lucky enough to know a lot of people in the industry and really appreciate what they do. And part of this was like a platform. Part of this podcast was a platform to show that appreciation and talk about the stuff that we love and give people the credit that they're due. You know.
Yeah, that's a
So-
really good mission. You know what I'm saying? If that's the mission statement of Knife Nuts, then, you know, I hope it lasts forever. Sorry, Brian, but I hope it lasts
Oh my
forever.
god.
It's about the people. It's always
You know
about
what
the
I'm
people.
saying? It's a
That's-
good mission, dude. You know, there could be worse fucking things to be spending time doing than this. That's for sure.
I appreciate you saying
I've
that.
had a good time.
There's not enough of this type of. There's a lot of knife reviews. There's a lot of very critical knife reviews.
Yeah.
But there's
Yeah.
That's what's
No shortage of those.
But,
That's
but
the
there's not a
toxic
lot of
part of this.
there's not a lot of just like general content. So with flipping, it's a little bit easier because you can flip the knives and that is the subject, right? But when it comes to just all knives, like it's hard to create content around that because if you get too technical, you can lose people. You know what I mean? So it's nice that you guys are doing something that's like,
say Jake.
Yeah.
you know.
Yeah, Jake
I mean,
is-
you got to be a little bit. I get that. Like, obviously, you're going to talk about some details, but
It's
the format
humanizing.
in which
I'm
you
It
fine,
get
makes it
I'm
something
fine
more
with
tangible.
just being the technical guy. I'm fine with just catering to the 2% that
Jake has
actually
his base.
care about.
Little do they know that you're the guy that strips naked, puts on a tackle belt, and walks out onto his front lawn.
I don't know how the two are related, but I'm glad we got that anecdote in
Yeah,
there.
I mean,
Spice of
technical
life.
guy.
There's the soundbite for this episode.
Spice
Yeah, there you
of
go.
Life.
It's all good. But yeah, just, you know, humanizing things and making the products more relatable to something that we enjoy, you know? It's just a cool thing.
Yeah.
I really
I,
appreciate
The-
I sincerely hope that people will fucking get like fed up with status quo fucking knives and come see what we're about. And once you get one of these things in your hand, you know, I think we have a good chance of earning your fucking business. You know what I'm saying? I want to earn people's business. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And
So-
I think you definitely will, if
I
you
hope so.
haven't already.
Yeah, for sure.
I think that's a wrap, fellas. I mean, we really appreciated having you guys on. I think this was a really cool, informative episode. You know, with just you know, a sprinkling of zany, which is how we
Yeah,
prefer it. You know, maybe a little bat fight.
The bats are
Yeah,
back.
totally.
Yeah.
Spider
Good stuff.
fight.
Dave, is there anything you wanted to say before we close?
Do we have to give a knife away? Do we need to do that?
Yeah.
You don't
Should we do
have
that?
to, but like I said, we would play ball, and
I think
if I
what we'll
say
do-
it, then
We
I
might be
will.
obligated by our Patreon to give one away.
I think what we'll do is we don't have to give it away in this because I have to figure out the logistics of it. Maybe we'll just host that for our
Yeah.
Patreon.
Stay
folks.
tuned.
So
on
we'll
Be in
that.
touch
giving-
with us. Let us know how we can help out, and you know, like I said, friends of the podcast for sure.
We
And,
we love you guys. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, anytime you guys want
It
to
was
chat
awesome.
or whatever, it's our pleasure.
Remember, you guys can go check out everything they've got going on their website, which is actually something that is amazing. They have a website that actually has stuff on it. Obviously, they're on Instagram. Lawrence, you have your YouTube channel. Do you want to tell us? Is that just under Bladerunner?
Yeah, it's Knifezoid. That's also my Instagram with the underscore because someone stole my name, but that's another story. But anyways, yeah, I post a lot of stuff there as well, but most of it's Bladerunner Systems, Facebook, Instagram, and our YouTube channel as well.
And Ed, you run the main Bladerunner Systems Instagram?
I think we kind of co-share that. Lawrence definitely sees a lot of content there, but I often do go lives and some other aspects of it. I tend
Gotcha.
to get on to do a lot of product announcements and
That's
informing
where I
people
chat
about
with you most of the time.
yeah, and when products are going to drop and stuff. We try to really make sure people know about that stuff because it still, even after all this time, they're still selling out quite quickly.
Mm-hmm.
And believe me, we're always we're always scaling up. So.
That's cool. That's awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us.
Thanks for having us.
That wraps up this episode of the Knife Nuts podcast. Hopefully, we'll be back within the next couple of weeks with another episode for you guys. Thank you.
Peace out.
And,
Yeah,
everybody.
okay.
See ya.
because
Well, their
Dino
reign
Riders-
was so short that that's more than a slight age difference. I
you-
mean, they came
so-
and went.
yeah, Jake, you know about it, right? You know about Dino Riders.
Yeah.
That
There
the
was a
shit.
brief time they were my favorite toy.
Oh my god, easily. And
I'll be
I-
44 this year, so
So maybe you may have been on to bigger and better things, but I don't know. It was like the 80s. It was what, like 86ish?
I'll
Yeah, I
be
was-
honest. Didn't catch Dino Riders.
No, you definitely didn't catch it. Look it
I
up.
already had a
dude.
whiff of pussy by then, and I was done with toys.
A whiff. God.
I had the non-existent void that I was living in. 'cause I was not
Dave,
working.
just look up Dino Riders and tell me it's not the most metal fucking thing you've ever seen.
I mean, I think I can already guess what it's going to be.
Pitch.
So.
Google it.
All right, I'm Googling.
I would agree with Brian though. The first time I saw a lady's mitt, it was all over for me. I didn't give a fuck about nothing else.
Oh, I thought you were going to say it was in Dino Riders. I was thinking,
No,
wow, that
that
would
would-
quite
Been
cartoon.
wonderful.
I don't know what I would have done.
The
if
lost
Serena just
episode.
showed her vag.
You know,
We're
This time-
we're Quest Star and Serena.
Tonight
Yeah,
on
no.
Dino Riders.
this is basically like Space Jam for my generation. Lola Bunny was pretty much the sexual awakening of every man in his now late 20s. So
For me, it was Daisy Duke. The first time I really
That
Saw
means you
Daisy
are very
too.
much older than
Oh
me.
yeah.
and Daisy Duke's also not a cartoon.
no, but
That's true.
Not a cartoon.
It might
never-
as well have been.
Who
I
plays
never
basketball?
caught wood to a cartoon, dude.
Oh, Jessica from Who Framed Roger Rabbit.
Yeah, Jessica Rabbit. This is a classic.
Yeah, but I didn't wank to it, dude.
So the '90s Jessica Rabbit was Lola Bunny in Space
Yeah,
Jam,
That's true.
and then R. Kelly really came to fuck that movie up.
Can I just say something? I've never been really into any anthropomorphic animals.
I mean, I won't want to say I'm into anthropomorphic animals because I am not a fucking furry. It's just Lola Bunny when you're like 8 years old is pretty
I have
not.
a question that I hope you guys can resolve. It's been kind of
I also hope we're recording, by the way.
a
Oh,
lifelong
I mean-
problem. It's like when you have anthropomorphic animals in a movie or a TV show, who decides which ones can fucking talk and which ones are just subservient animals that they eat or what? Like the chickens can't say shit, but the fucking dogs can say whatever they want.
Someone's been watching BoJack Horseman.
Or been smoking weed.
Have you watched BoJack Horseman?
The first season of it I watched.
The
for
second season, there is an amazing episode where they describe. The rough concept of it. Then. So
Sure. Yeah,
you've
I
seen-
got the premise of it.
So it's just like people and anthropomorphic animals all just living in harmony, but there's actually livestock in that universe as well, and they're just basically lobotomized chickens. They have like human hands and stuff, so they get a bucket of arms instead of legs. It's pretty
What
crazy.
the fuck
Makes
nightmare
sense.
scenario?
Dude,
is this?
it is, and the whole show has them like saving this like basically retarded chicken.
Makes sense to me.
Yeah, I'm gonna check that out. Never.
It's
But
a
you should.
it's a Netflix original, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
well,
show's
that
pretty
is-
good.
the message is massive. Like, it's really like, whoa. But
Right.
I actually really enjoyed it because it didn't take itself too seriously. Do you know what I mean?
I think Will Arnett is really super funny, and
Yes.
he's very talented. And I think their whole take on what depression and all that shit is like
Yeah.
probably really put it in perspective for people. I don't
I think-
suffer from it, to be honest with you.
I mean, it's a more realistic approach to a lot of it, I think.
Yeah, but in watching it, I was like, oh fuck, that's yeah.
Mhm.
So, but it's cleverly written, so it might be worth watching just for that.
I think it's good. Dave, you'll like it, man.
All right.
Seriously.
I give it a shot too.
All right.
Are we all here? Should we start the show?
I think we're all ready.
You're welcome to do it. Like I said, I know Lawrence was trailing.
Oh, that's true.
How long?
behind
How
a bit.
far is he?
I couldn't say. I sent him a text and said, grab a pair of headphones when you click the link, and you'll see his
It should
request
be in
to
his
join.
email. I sent
Well,
it.
if he's coming back, we'll hold out. I mean, that's not a big deal, and then we can just. It'll be easier than having him jump in halfway, I guess.
Yeah, let me check and see if I can
Less
get
jarring,
some info
certainly.
from him.
But 11, you just
Or he
dropped
could just-
out last episode and we just kind of kept going.
All
I
of a
know, I'm
sudden,
just
be
double-check-
there.
Yeah, well, that's true.
Double check if you have any pending updates.
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, making sure I don't have any pending. Ed, you didn't listen to the last episode, but like 10 minutes into the last one, my computer decided to update.
Oh, really?
And
It's
like,
a very
just-
Windows-y thing, by the way.
Yeah,
to
I
just
was
have
like,
a
what the
random
fuck?
forced update.
You know what I was? I was putting it off so much, and I think maybe by the time it came up, I was just like, all right, I may have clicked install or something.
To
just 'cause I
remind
was-
me in 4 hours so many times.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't mess with Windows anymore.
No. I mean,
used
I'm
to have to
on a
do
Mac. Let's be honest.
that type of stuff, supporting doctors' computers and stuff like that for my old job, and it's just like, oh god. So
We'll get
I don't
into
like
that.
Windows. I don't. It's a
Don't
pain
get-
in my ass.
Please
The,
don't get me
the
started.
harbinger of my Mac Mini arrived, aka the Apple Care packet.
Did you get a new Mac Mini?
Yeah.
Dude,
I got a grant to pay for it. So
that is
it was free.
badass. That
Yeah.
I
Except
want
for
one real bad.
The institutional discount is less than your personal discount, so
But you didn't have
had
to.
to pay more money for it than.
But you did.
would've.
Did you have to pay more money for it?
No, I got a fellowship that paid.
Yeah,
for
I was gonna say, why would you buy an Apple product without talking?
it. No. I mentioned that to them, but yeah, no, I got it's all paid for by the NSF, so I'll have it soonish. It takes forever to get it because they don't go through like the normal consumer channel. But I'm excited to get it. That's my big acquisition.
they had to go through the educational channel. That's why.
Yeah, and nothing comes fast.
No. It's just however long your rep decides to put the order in. Did you CTO it, or is it? I'm sorry. Did you customize it? or did
Yeah, I
you
got
just
16
buy an
gigs of
off-
RAM and the 512
Nice.
SD.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really should have gotten more RAM, but I can just put it in
No,
myself.
dude,
I
the
did
16.
16 gigs of the 1867 DDR3
Yeah,
in my
that's plenty.
iMac,
Plenty.
and I did the Core i7, the 4
Yeah.
gig Core i7.
Well, I do really computationally intensive stuff with it, so it's
Right.
like 16 gigs is probably not enough, truthfully.
If you'd be surprised, like, and I don't care what you're doing anymore on the computer, the thing that is getting hit the hardest is your graphics card, no
Yeah,
matter
well,
what.
it depends on what you're doing, but
It,
the kind
it
of
used
stuff
to
I'm doing-
depend on what you're doing, but now literally what happens is your CPU, if you're on a Mac at least, the OpenGL language will
Yeah.
actually just
Yeah,
force
use
the
GPU
main.
compute.
Yeah,
Yeah, because they actually are better for a lot of computational modeling stuff. They
at least for processing
Primarily.
large amounts of data quickly
yeah, like
instead of in sequence.
like the NVIDIA, the Titan V cards are for sort of data analysis, computational modeling stuff.
But
people
even
are-
the R9, the
yeah,
that AMD, that thing runs pretty hot for being in most stock iMacs and also offered in the Mac Mini. So
I'm not that deep into Python yet, so I can't really do GPU compute stuff. So MATLAB
Right.
basically just uses the processor and RAM, so it's not very sophisticated.
yeah,
Not
I'm recording this on a 2012 MacBook Pro.
there you go.
Yep.
Nobody needs half the computer they buy anymore.
the only bad thing is I don't actually own the Mac Mini. It's technically the University of Connecticut's property, so
But when,
I
when
am
you want
going
to
to
buy
have-
one, you just let me know.
I'm going to have my VPN running 24/7 on that thing.
There
I'm
you
very
go.
nervous.
Yeah, I was gonna say all that means is if they get mad at you for something that they can't get rid of you for technically, they'll just go on and say that you looked at porn one time in 2009.
Definitely
fun-
going to have to remember to switch computers.
Someone should find out what his VPN is, go onto that computer, and change his background to Lola Bunny.
Yeah, there you go. That
See,
was
the
full
Lola
circle.
Bunny thing is now like deep into a bunch of talk about GPU computing, so they might never hear the Lola Bunny thing. Sorry, guys. You're not going to get your jokes off. I'm going to come
Well,
out looking like roses. Smelling
Most
like
people
roses.
don't understand that most of this shit is about instructions per pipeline, and the problem with a PC is that you've got 40 bajillion pipes.
Processes
Yeah.
processes going on at any given moment,
Yeah, correct. So
just to
Ed, were you
stay
like a
running.
system admin or something?
no,
in a
but the
previous life?
shortest fucking point A to point B. I mean, like, come on.
I know, you just know a lot about this for a knife maker.
Well, I don't make knives. Let me
I mean, knife
make
company
the distinction.
proprietor?
Yeah. Designer, sure. I've got a bunch of designs out there in the
Just say
world.
CEO. We like it. It sounds very
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Well, it is my official.
It's your title, sure.
Title. Yeah.
Brian's CEO of Sharp Eye Design LLC.
Yeah,
That's pretty rad.
yeah.
It's funny. Obviously, I've met Brian before, and we met him at the East Coast Custom Knife Show. And I think we were introduced to one another by the folks from Jersey Devil, maybe.
Yeah, it could be.
That sounds
Yeah.
right.
And everything that Brian told me he was going to do with his brand operation, he has done. From meeting him then till today.
Wow.
Just to see that guy have a vision that
I'm laughing, but
I think Brian's
Well,
vision is to not see us as much.
but
Ed, you're right. Ed, you're right. It's true.
He was talking about wanting to do with his product, his brands, his brand operation, the Typhoon, I mean, the earlier models and stuff. That guy went out and did that shit. So I'm like, yeah, it makes me want to work with him even more because I'd wanted to, even when we had met him, before when both Lawrence and I were earlier in our career and he was earlier in his. So
Brian is here, if you didn't know.
yeah, I know he's here. That's why I'm
Okay.
saying this
I
shit.
thought there was like third person. There was a lot of like confusing pronoun usage, so I didn't know if you actually knew he was here.
It was praise. I really enjoyed that. It was nice
I
to
thought we were
hear
talking
that
about Brian like
on
he was
Brian's
dead.
behalf.
Yeah, I mean, whatever pronouns you want to assign to Brian,
Oh God.
the fucking guy does what he says he's going to do, and he makes some pretty sharp-ass knives.
100%.
Yeah, for sure.
I miss him.
I like all that stuff.
Since
And
he
I don't mean
passed
to
away
talk
2 months
about
ago.
him like he's not sitting there, but I just thought it was a more holistic way to tell that story.
It was lovely. It was beautiful.
Should we just jump into this?
Yeah, you might as well. I mean, like, if Lawrence can join us
I
later and
think
that's
it'll
not
just-
problematic to you.
It'll be great.
I'll just cut it
He'll
when he
he'll
comes in.
parachute. We could add some like sound of him parachuting in or something.
The Kool-Aid Man breaking.
Like a
apart.
helicopter, just we hear a helicopter. Can we? Is there a soundboard for that?
I'm sure there is one that I can add in post. I do not have one queued up. You know, I only have like 3, and they're the same tired ones we've been using forever.
Just that really loud Dimmy Borgir.
No, I
Sound.
don't. I don't have that one queued up because I don't have the intensity sort of normalized on.
Has
most of them.
just walked in the door, so
Oh, so we're close then.
Okay.
we're close. Yeah, T minus.
I was. Maybe we should start the episode with us like all parachuting in somehow.
Right. It's like
Well, we
some
upload
sort
it
of-
to YouTube. We should have shitty animations like that. like before
Dude,
the
I
episode.
am not at that level yet.
Yeah, of After Effects or whatever.
That's what I need to find. Like, if I could find an animator that doesn't want to work for money,
Right.
or
that
doesn't
would-
work for a lot of money.
who
Like a
doesn't
really
work
little
for
amount of
money,
Right.
I mean, works for a very small amount of money.
a very small amount of money, like a
But-
really small amount of money.
like dollar menu stuff, or
Like we can go as far as fo,
yeah.
little 444.
My friend has got some connections to some developers in Vietnam, so and I think
Right.
they work pretty cheaply. So
I don't know. Vietnam, you say?
I
I do have my buddy that is going to be doing our motion graphics, and he would do it, and he's a good friend, but it's it may be that may be a little tall order. Because imagine what it would take to animate a full episode.
oh that would be
Oh my god.
that'd be insane.
Have you ever watched Kevin Smith's Smodimations or whatever?
I have, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's exactly what I mean, it would be amazing. It would be so funny.
Have you seen the Puffin Forest, the D&D animations that guy does?
No.
Yeah, those are really funny too. They're about his Dungeons and Dragons campaigns, but they're done with like really rudimentary.
Yo, by the way, this
animations.
is I just want everyone to know this is the second time Dungeons and Dragons has come up in conversation between Ed and I
Yeah, sorry about that.
in the past.
I'm
What?
all for it.
I've never played Dungeons and
Oh, really?
Dragons, but
What?
I've only spectated. It's a beautiful thing to watch, and it's very me. I don't know why I never did it.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
should
it's hard.
try it, yeah.
It's fun. It's just hard to find people to do it with.
And the people that do play it, maybe you don't really want to talk to on a regular basis.
It's one of the. It's kind of an all or nothing thing. There's not a lot of
I've been-
casual people.
What if we
playing
set
it
up
since
a
the
Dungeons and
80s.
Dragons thing at Blade Show?
Yeah, right.
I'm not sure what
I
the
bet we would
crossover
draw a
is.
crowd. I bet
would
I
say
bet
we
a lot
would
of
draw-
people would show.
We would definitely draw a crowd from the same crowd that Ed is trying to draw people from.
Is that a
so-
vape or a bong?
Who, me?
Yeah, was that you?
That's CBD, yeah.
Oh, good. My little salve is downstairs. What am I gonna do, Jake?
Were you gonna smoke the salve?
No, I was gonna put it on my neck.
Oh, yeah, I could use that right about now.
You know what I do have is a Bladerunner Systems coin.
Oh, there you go. Rub that on your neck.
Yeah, I'm gonna rub it on my neck.
There you go. Is that what
Next
they
can
call
turn
it?
green.
There's like a digital samurai and a digital skull samurai on the other
Will not
side.
turn green.
Yeah, that'd be kind of rad, actually.
That was a cool, that's just, you talk about the depth in which you're willing to invest in your experience.
Swag.
Well, yeah, it's like you're creating an experience for someone. It's like you can give them a knife and be like, here's a knife in a box. Or you can be like, and here's a coin. And what we did with those coins, or what we elected to do, was we printed off a coin so that there would be one in each product for the run. So let's just say for
It's like a
conversation's sake,
collectible thing.
yeah, it was like a 200-piece run. But I randomized the coins. So what I did was I took 5% of the coins and made them the rarest, then 10% the next rarest, and so on and so forth. So if
There's
you...
chase coins.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I hate you.
So we just wanted to... It's just another way to, like, make a more experience, and a deeper...
Mine's the rarest one, right?
experience. I don't know. I don't recollect what I sent you, to be fair.
I told you it's got
Yeah, but what color is it?
it's copper.
Oh, copper. Yeah, that is kind of a rare one. There you
I
go.
mean,
You're
it
on the
feel-
map, guy.
It feels like copper.
Right.
It's pretty cool. I would like to have knife nuts coins made. I think that would be kind of fun.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
not.
we can
it's
barely
not-
get T-shirts made.
No,
Right.
it's not we can barely. We just have not.
Yeah, I think coins would probably be kind of expensive if I had to guess.
It's
They
probably not
weren't.
that-
They weren't.
can't be.
They weren't cost prohibitive, but they are. You got to develop the artwork. You got to.
I can do that.
Yeah.
That's easy for me.
But you need to
Surprisingly,
choose.
that we have that part covered.
Our logo would work great on a coin, actually.
back when we first released one of the first runs of Bally Songs that we released as a direct retail thing, I actually hand drew graffiti on every box in that run.
Also, the second time graffiti has come
Must
up.
have
in
been
our
Yeah,
conversation.
that's well. I gotta just
I know. I'm into that, dude.
put it on Front Street, you know, like.
Oh, you guys should see the graffiti logo that's going to be on our next shirt. I'll send it to you.
Oh
Yeah,
yeah, I
as
haven't
well.
even seen it yet. I've
I'd like to
only,
get me one of them
only
shirts.
heard of it.
Yeah, I'll show you guys. Hold up. And the colors and stuff are not finalized. There's just the overall. It's not super crazy.
Every once in a while, I see someone posting up their knife or whatever, and they're posting one of those old boxes, and I'm always like, wow, dude. And I remember like how old my kids were. And like for me, it becomes this like immediate trip down. Like, okay, I used to live at this other spot when I did those, and I remember doing them in the garage, like freezing my ass off, like out in the fucking cold with a spray can, like. So it's just also something kind of archival for Lawrence and I. You know, when we look back at all the additional projects that we did in tandem with trying to, you know, ingratiate someone's experience with our product, I can literally see this timeline of our business, which is kind of fun for us. So
That is.
I
neat.
think Levon and I probably have something similar.
What is it that? Where are you going with that, Jake?
Nowhere.
The 3 or 4 or 12 different eras of
Oh yeah,
knife
yeah,
nuts.
yeah.
I mean, first it was whiskey pickle knife, and then it was like sober whiskey pickle knife.
I mean, it
and
goes
then, you know,
goes well before that too. You know what I mean?
yeah,
right.
technically, yeah. I'm at least just cutting it off by the the appearance
Knife.
of knives.
It's cool to see these things evolve. You know?
I see what you did there.
Yeah, well, when you control language, you control a lot of things, right? So
That is true. You're very you're
was
calculated.
very
I can appreciate that.
I think you kind of have to be, especially if you're on like this production side where you need to everybody's involvement. You need to really co-source talented people and like get them to all kind of synergize, and that type of stuff takes.
That's how you build a
calculation.
lifestyle brand.
Yeah, which I think arguably
You're in a
I think-
lifestyle. You've
yeah,
got a
we're in a
lifestyle
lifestyle
brand.
brand.
You've got a lifestyle brand. Dude. That is definitely what it is. And here's a quote that proves it. My God, how did that just happen? I'm like scrolling through your website. I'm going to read this quote to the gentleman. BRS is as much an art form as it is a knife and gear company. Everything within BRS is influenced by our backgrounds, interests, experience, and history. The products we design and manufacture are very personal to this foundation. I actually really like that, and it definitely rings true to home for me. And I'm
Well,
not that corny.
it's just being like honest about what we're doing, and like I guess if you only believe that you can sell knives because you're a wicked rad operator with a cool H&K, then there's that. But if you believe that you can kind of like put your own thoughts, ideas, and artwork into a product and still find an audience for it, and quite a verbose one at this point. I mean, like we just dinged 50,000 Instagram followers, and I guess however many Facebook ones and Twitter and so on and so forth. Some of that's duplicitous. I mean, obviously some of the same people there, but
But hey, it's something.
But it's
And
something.
It is. That's not an insignificant number, and it's even better if you can not be the operator type with a really cool modified H&K.
well, you have to build that shit organically because they will not let you participate in any of the advertisement venue.
Exactly.
That other companies get the enjoyment of.
Dude, I was so nervous posting that picture of that pistol that I bought. Like, I was afraid I would be like, oh, that's it, done. No one's ever going to be, I'm going to be blacklisted from Instagram.
Yeah, well,
Lawrence is here. That's funny because you would think we'd want the attention of the gun people who are a very sizable audience. It's not like we're making money off ads. or
Zoomers,
something.
yes, but
Yeah.
We're not making
social
money off
media.
ads. We don't have any ads.
Well, I mean,
Laurence!
I'm gonna mute Lawrence until he has headphones on. Because it's gonna cause you know what? Echo.
There he is.
And
I
there's
just
the
sounded
echo.
like the Godfather. Whoa.
All right, well, this part I'll cut. I have no idea what to do with like the last 20 minutes we just talked about, but
I mean, it'll be all right. Like I think we'll naturally progress into that stuff again, and you've recorded it, so maybe we could
yeah, I'll throw it at the end or something.
do like the pre-Lawrence files.
Brian's got to be like, you're killing me, Smalls.
Oh, he's dying right now. I guarantee it.
Listen, I'm hanging onto this podcast by a fucking string as it is.
Oh Jesus.
But I thought your like extended absence from us was helping.
It is helping. That's the only thing that saved me.
I miss you, Brian.
It's helping him realize he doesn't want to come back. Is what
I
it's
feel
doing.
so disconnected from Brian these days.
I know, me too.
Well,
so
I meant
sad.
all that stuff I said about you, Brian, for sure, man. Like, part of the enjoyment for me is like the fucking Motley Crew. Like, I definitely like listening to this podcast because I can hear from you, I can hear from Jake, I can hear from Dave, I can hear from
Wow,
you.
someone
Like,
knows my name.
yeah,
First
you're,
in podcast history.
But
you're
it's
not
kind of.
supposed to say Dave's name.
Oh,
Bad
sorry, I didn't know the
It's
rules.
that other guy.
It's like fucking Candyman. I just say Candyman, like
The other guy on the podcast.
right. That guy and those guys. But it's good. It's good to have your voice. You know, it's I mean, I don't know if it's just demographically good or whatever, but like you're also a super talented machine operator, so you have something to offer from a technical standpoint. That
Yo, that's my man you're talking about, right?
do you know what I'm saying though?
Jake's about to be the
That's
talented
a
machine operator
really
soon.
that is a very important part of why this whole thing worked, is because of
I thought so.
Brian's position within our Motley crew.
Yeah, we rode
No,
his wave big time.
It would work better if, like, when Jake goes on his rants about this shit, if I start arguing with him about it. But I get, by the time I hear it and I get to say something, I would rather just keep it to myself.
Brian, how do you feel about the fact that it's going to be the lover, the hater, the maker, and the maker? We got Jake now. He's transitioning.
Yeah,
in.
right.
He's still the thinker. He's still only thinking about it.
He could take my maker spot. That's not a problem.
Oh. Lawrence, what are you doing? Building a sandcastle? No, it's okay. I'm just going to pick on you until you're here, so.
Yes,
I
do you have
mean-
headphones, though? Okay,
Oh my-
cool. I just want to turn off the echo cancellation off. Okay. I think we should be good now. I'm not hearing any echoes.
Lawrence, say something real quick.
Yep.
Uh-oh. We good?
Yep, we can hear you.
He's
Yep,
a
I'm
boom.
just gonna
What a
turn-
booming voice he has.
It's commanding.
It is commanding. Cobra commanding.
Right. There you go.
No, I have that. Nope. Yep. I handle all that stuff.
No worries. How was boxing? Oh. That means it went well.
I'm going to
That's good.
stop recording because I need to start recording again so that Lawrence can get added. So I'm going to stop.